I want to thank Explore Middle School for that great performance. I don't know who said it, but it was music surrounds reality with soft edges. And boy, my reality right now needs a lot of soft edges to it. So thank you for that music for us. Are your parents here? Any parents for this? Please stand up. Please stand up. Good job. All right. All right. I'm calling this meeting to order. Hopefully you are all going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you do that for us, please? Thank you. Please rise.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And again, let's give the guys a big hand for what they did. Good job. Well done. My glasses. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Greenberg?
Here.
Mrs. Christensen?
Here.
Dr. Lim?
Here.
Mr. Pantera?
Here.
Ms. Wani?
Here.
Next on the agenda is approval of agenda. Dr. Corson.
Thank you, President Pantera. Items approved by consent will not come up for discussion during the meeting, but will be approved when the agenda is adopted. This is possible since members of the governing board receive the agenda along with backup materials at least 24 hours prior to the meeting and have had time to review and consider all items. Prior to the agenda being adopted, members of the governing board may ask that an item be removed from the consent agenda and brought to the floor for discussion at the appropriate place on the agenda. Any member of the audience who submitted a blue public comment card prior to the start of the meeting will be recognized to speak on that agenda item under items for approval. I'd like to offer the agenda as posted.
All right, prior to the start of the meeting, no blue public comment cards were received. For that reason, no items are needing to be removed from the consent agenda. Does any member of the governing board wish to have an item removed from the consent agenda? There's nobody wants anything removed from the agenda. Okay, seeing none, I may have a motion to approve the meeting agenda and recommend consent agenda items.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Next on the agenda is governing board statements. Would anyone like to go first? Okay, well, Mrs. Wani, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see so many faces. Explore, that was incredible. And I did not have beatboxing on my bingo card for tonight, so that was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I just want to take a minute, and I know we indulge ourselves a little bit here and we talk about all the things that we get to experience across the district. What I just want to sort of highlight is I've had a wonderful couple of weeks of sort of experiencing some of the bigger events or district-wide sort of events that I think we forget sometimes. It's super important. Our sites, our schools, our school spirit, our culture, all of that. But we are a unified school district, and there are so many wonderful schools across our entire district. So everything from the PV Fun Run, which I know you're going to want to have a gloating moment about in a little bit there. He might have outran the only other governing board member who was running, which was, I think, me. So we had the PV Fun Run, which is a district-wide event, which is so fun to see faces and teachers and students and people from all across our district. Last night, I attended the honors concert at Horizon High School, where they invited North Ranch Elementary School students, Sonoran Sky, Liberty. they had Desert Shadows Middle School, and I may be forgetting some other of our elementary school students, and they invited them up, and they all performed a song together. And there was choreography that the students were taught from the older high school students, and it was just so wonderful to see all of the students from all the different elementary schools be so excited and come together with the high school students, right, and with other students from other elementary schools to share their love of music. And so I just wanted to share that experience with all of you. It's wonderful. I think the more that we can sort of find ways to partner and bring our schools together, I think we're stronger for it. I will leave it at that because I could continue on and on. Oh, one more thing. See, I knew I had one more thing. United Parent Council also hosted a wonderful event. They had a new expo as kind of a spin on things they've done in the past where they invited vendors and different businesses and organizations. And we had Pinnacle represented there, and we had North Canyon represented there, and we had Horizon High School represented there, among other wonderful community business supporters of public education. So I think, again, just another shining example of a way we can, bring people together across the greater community. And so thank you to UPC for that wonderful event.
Mrs. Christensen?
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to welcome everybody here today. And again, thanks to the parents and the choir members that sang earlier. As a mom of a young man who is still singing, even after he graduated from Horizon, he's at the Berklee College of Music in Boston. I was excited to see two young boys in the choir, and to loosely quote one of my favorite movies, they bring down the choir a whole octave in a good way. So yay for the boys in choir. That was Elf, by the way. I had the pleasure of participating in Indian Bend Elementary School's saguaro planting event. And it was so interesting. It happened a couple Sundays ago, and I was under the impression I would be there about 15 minutes, see a saguaro planted in the ground, and then leave. It was quite the event. It rivaled many class reunions for high school. I was so impressed. There were teachers there from the original Indian Bend Elementary School. I had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Bouchard, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Does that sound about right? Wonderful man. He had students come and speak to him and be in tears, hugging him and telling him what an impact that he made in their lives. I just was able to witness it. It was an all-day event. I had some things planned in the afternoon. I actually kind of cleared my schedule, and a lot of us went out to eat afterwards. And just getting to know that community, it was just so special. I'd never experienced that kind of impact that several teachers and principals have made in that community. It was just phenomenal. So, and then I just wanted to thank him. He wrote me a nice letter, and I got it in my board meeting a couple of days ago. But well done, Indian Bend Elementary School. We're looking forward to groundbreaking in a few days on the new building. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. Dr. Lim?
Sure. So I have had a wonderful couple of weeks since the turn of the new year, and as we go into February, getting to just be in the community. I had the privilege of doing a site visit at Shadow Mountain. Not only did I get to see the DAPS program, I get to shake Mr. Story's hand, and we both felt a bit old in the moment, but it happened. But I then got to see their Connections program, as well as get a sneak peek into one of the dance programs from our North Valley Arts Academy students. It was a great indication of the collective nature that these schools have and how many different types of students our schools are supporting. And I kind of took that mindset then into my engagements in the community. My daughter's in Girl Scouts. Most of the girls in that troop are PV students from different schools. I see lots of PV families at the dance studio that we're in, and just collectively in the grocery stores and all around the community, I keep running into community members or students across the district. And I'm reminded as I run into people from different schools, different districts, while we are a massive district with over 40 schools, we really are a collective community, and you know so many different people across the collection of our community. So it's a great reminder as a board member going into their second year that this is the community that we're representing, and we're representing all of PV. And so I really appreciate the effort and the connections I make out there in the community and the community's support. And I continue to look forward to those site visits and running into people in the community. We're here to serve you, and it's been a privilege to do that so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lim. Mrs. Greenberg?
As everyone has said, welcome. Quite a crowd. Thank you for all being here. I know we have a lot to do. I just want to give a shout out. I was able to get to our 5K. I did not run or walk, but it was amazing. And I will let President Pantera gloat when it's his turn. But as always, it was an incredible community event. It was our 16th. I think in all of the 16 years we've done it, I've only missed once when I was out of town. And it's just incredible. Even for those of you who don't want to walk or run 5K, I would definitely consider coming next year if you haven't. We had an amazing health fair as well that I thought was, I know we did a little last year. This one, number of community members who are also have programs and projects within the district, are vendors of the district, and it was, again, just enormously fun event, and watching our littlest run a little bit, that was also great. So kudos to everybody who made that, and thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. So I guess I will talk about the 5K. I was there, yes, and 4-0, 4 years in a row now, I'm the fastest school board member in the district. And they've all these categories for different age groups and brackets. Once again, they did not have this fastest school board category yet. So I'm still waiting for a medal for that.
Thank goodness for me.
What?
We'll get that added next year.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But it is a great event. I won't say what other people have said about it, except to continue about the community. You see everybody from other schools. You see and interact and talk to people. I remember when we had the virtual 5K when COVID was around. And in a lot of cases, that's the only way we kept our community together, by you do it virtually and you send it in, and it was a great thing. I love the way it showcases. It's open to anybody. You don't have to be just in the district. There's people from other districts. I saw some cars with bumper stickers for schools that are definitely not in our district, but they're there running, and they see how cohesive and wonderful our community is. It's just another way to engage and be with us. It's a great way. To me, it's always like I'm starting into my spring action when I do the 5K. It's refreshing. But a lot of the things that are happening now actually started in the summer. They started in the summer. They started at the beginning of the year. A lot of work that is now going to be bearing fruit in our test scores and culmination of activities, especially a lot of our committees. When I taught here, the last committee I was on was the Data Governance Committee, which is a standing committee still, right? Yeah, still a committee. And Jeff Billings, we talked about things like with parents regarding AI, ransomware, all kinds of things that are still need to be looked after. One of the hardest committees was the Guaranteed Viable Curriculum Committee. Anybody remember that one? Yeah. Oh my gosh, what a bear. It was a district-wide committee. Everyone had to compare state standards to what we're doing and try and make sure that if the student goes from one school to another, it's going to be pretty seamless for them, at least it's curriculum. That was a big, big committee. Probably one of my favorites, though, once was being on the Gifted Scope and Sequence Committee. Okay, I was on that one, and it was pretty nice when you show up at a board meeting and they say, okay, we approve what you guys did, and my name is on the back of that scope and sequence, at least for a year before they changed it all. But it was great. It's the backbone. It's what we do here. We're not a top-down organization. It's parents, teachers, administration, cabinet, working hard on these committees, hours and hours, not only during the meetings, but all the research and things that goes into it. I know a lot of teachers and administrators come to our district because we have such a strong committee way of doing things here. And I can't wait to see what comes up, what's going to be presented to us coming up in the future. And I appreciate all the work you all do. I've been there, and again, thank you very much for that. That concludes my comments. Next on the agenda is awards and recognitions.
So at this time, I'd like to invite the governing board down to the front for our awards and recognitions this evening.
Good evening, President Pantera, governing board members, Dr. Corson, members of cabinet, and attendees, both in person and virtual. Tonight, we have several recognitions to share with you. This evening, we'll be inviting our honorees to the front of the room for their recognition and photo. When we read your name, please make your way to the front of the room after your name's been called. For tonight's first recognition, I'll be turning it over to Dr. Holmes.
Tonight, please join me in recognizing our marketing and communications team for earning top honors at the state level. This month, the PV Schools Mark-On team will accept the prestigious Copper Medallion Award of Excellence in Public Relations, Marketing, and Communications from the Arizona School Public Relations Association. The team earned this honor for the Seriously Social Report Don't Repost campaign, signifying truly exemplary work, a gold standard for school PR campaigns. Furthermore, PV Schools achieved an additional 20.58% reduction in anonymous school threats compared to the Valley's overall percentage decrease, in part due to this campaign. In addition to the Copper Medallion Award, the team also received awards in the public and electronic media categories, including photography, podcasts, social media campaigns, special purpose publications, and video production. Please join me in welcoming Sarah Hackett, Therese Mexis, Zach Strophus, Nicole Lamar, Kara Angeli, Gina Montano Terry, Debbie Tice, and our Director of Marketing and Communications, Matt Droege.
Thank you, Dr. Holmes. Next, we'd like to honor 4 individuals who've maintained or achieved their national board certification status. NBCT is considered the pinnacle of recognition in education and represents an educator's diligence, dedication, and skill. This incredible accomplishment is not just a personal milestone for teachers, but it's also a driving force for ongoing improvement in PV schools. Please put your hands together for, from Larkspur Elementary School, Nicole Bentema. Unable to be here tonight from Shadow Mountain High School, Nick Popovich. Unable to be here this evening from Boulder Creek Elementary School, Amy Marcus. And from Greyhawk Elementary School, Kelly Rom. Our next honoree was recognized by the Arizona Association of School Councils for championing and supporting a positive environment for the school's student government, empowering Stugo to reach its fullest potential. He's celebrated for fostering a vibrant campus culture and for his unwavering commitment to ensuring every student voice is heard. Please help me welcome from Pinnacle High School, Patrick Hurley. Last tonight, but certainly not least, is the recipient of the Paradise Valley Education Association's Recognition of Professional Standards Award for Teachers. The honoree this evening will be introduced by Heather Schmidt, PVEA President.
Good evening, President Pantera, Dr. Corson, Governing Board, and Cabinet. My name is Heather Schmidt, and I'm proud to serve as the President of the Paradise Valley Education Association. And again, my favorite day of the month is always PVEA Props Day. I got to celebrate very early in the month up at Greyhawk Elementary School, where I'm proud to recognize Mr. Zach Washburn, the music teacher at Greyhawk. And Greyhawk showed up. Here's what was shared with me about Mr. Washburn. Zach brings energy, creativity, joy to every corner of Greyhawk through the power of music. His dedication to making every school event special is unmatched. Zach ensures that every student from kindergarten through 6th grade has a chance to shine. At Greyhawk, you don't have to be in the choir to perform. Zach includes every grade level at school-wide events like Fall Festival, Veterans Day celebration, Holiday Cocoa Hut, which sounds fun, Holiday Assembly, and the Spring Assembly. His lessons go far beyond singing. Zach teaches students choreography, teamwork, and confidence. This year, 4th through 6th grade learned and performed the iconic Thriller dance, thrilling audiences at multiple events. He takes his chorus to perform at senior centers, bringing joy to the community and showing students the value of sharing their talents beyond the walls of our schools. Zach exposes students to a wide range of musical instruments, cultures, and rhythms, building not only musical skills, but a strong sense of community and school pride. His enthusiasm is contagious, I think, as we've all seen tonight, and his dedication is unwavering, and the impact is lasting. Greyhawk feels like a special place because of the magic that Zach brings through music. Congratulations, Zach.
And that, President Pantera, concludes this evening's awards and recognitions.
Next on the agenda is Superintendent comments. Dr. Corson.
Thank you, President Pantera. In PV schools, we engage, inspire, and nurture students through high-quality instruction, meaningful educational opportunities, and dynamic learning experiences. One such opportunity is the annual PVEA Prom Boutique, and it's that time of year again. With prom season approaching, PVEA is seeking donations to support this impactful event. The Prom Boutique provides high school students with free formal wear, accessories, gift cards, and more, ensuring every student can attend prom in style without the burden of cost. PVEA is currently accepting donations of gently used formal wear, including dresses, suits, shoes, and jewelry, as well as unused makeup, toiletries, and gift cards for restaurants, salons, photography, and other services. Donations may be dropped off at the district front office Monday through Friday from 8 to 4 p.m. And this is a wonderful opportunity to support our community and help create a memorable prom experience for our high school students. Tonight, I'd like to congratulate Greenway Middle School for being honored at the School Connect Summit for exceptional achievement and dedication to community engagement. Principal Matt Lursch, Assistant Principal Stacy Alejo, and former Principal Jorge Ontiveros were invited to present their successful school model, demonstrating how strong collaboration with community partners has elevated student achievement and fostered institutional growth, extending learning beyond the classroom. Keep up the incredible work, Greenway. And join PV Schools at the annual Sights, Sounds, and STEAM Symposium event on March 7th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Shadow Mountain High School. This event celebrates student creativity and achievement across the district. The event features the STEAMposium, the K-6 Gifted Showcase, a K-12 Visual Arts Showcase, live performances from band, strings, and chorus, hands-on activities, and food trucks for a fun, family-friendly experience. That's March 7th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Shadow Mountain High School. And February is full of meaningful celebrations in PV schools. We're proud to recognize Career and Technical Education Month and the outstanding teachers and programs preparing students for future success. We also honor our dedicated school counselors during National School Counselor Week for their unwavering support of students' academic and personal growth. And finally, in honor of Public Schools Week that was earlier this month, we thank our incredible staff, students, families, and community partners for being essential partners in education and for supporting our students on their many journeys of excellence. And that, President Pantera, concludes my comments for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Corson. So next on the agenda is item for approval G1, consideration and approval of administrative personnel employment actions. Dr. Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Pantera, members of the board. Amy Henn is currently the interim principal at Campobello Elementary School. She earned a Bachelor of Liberal Arts and Science from the University of Iowa and a Master's of Education in Educational Administration from NAU. If approved, she will receive salary and benefits in accordance with the PVP bargaining agreement, and we recommend you approve Ms. Henn to be the principal at Campobello Elementary School.
Does any board member have a comment? Oh, may I have a motion to approve the administrative personal employment action as presented?
So moved.
Any board member wishing to make a comment? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations, Ms. Henn.
Next on the agenda is item for approval G2, acceptance of...
Oops, I've got two more.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought they were individual. Had the one.
That's fine. Next up, Matthew Lursch is currently the interim principal at Greenway Middle School. He earned a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the University of Arizona. On a brighter note, he also earned a Master's of Arts. There are people in this room that knew that was coming. A Master of Arts in Special Education from ASU, and a Master of Education Leadership also from ASU. Thank you, Meatloaf. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. If approved, he will receive salary and benefits consistent with the PVP bargaining agreement. We recommend you approve Mr. Lursch to be the principal at Greenway Middle School.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the administration personnel employment action as presented?
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
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 Unless there's discussion. Discussion, okay. All opposed say aye. Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations, Mr. Lursch. And Jennifer Adams is currently the interim assistant principal at Horizon High School. She earned a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, a Master's of Arts in Special Education, and completed a program in Educational Leadership at Western Governors University. If approved, we will be 3 for 3 in approving our very deserving interim candidates this evening, and Ms. Adams will receive salary and benefits consistent with the PVP bargaining agreement. We recommend you approve Ms. Adams to be an assistant principal at Horizon High School.
May I have a motion to approve the administrative personal employment actions as presented?
So moved.
Any board members wishing to make a comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations, Ms. Adams. And that concludes our approvals for this evening for administrative appointments.
Thank you, Dr. Holmes. Next on the agenda is items for approval G2, acceptance of 2025 audit reports for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. I may have a motion to accept the 2025 audit reports for the 2024-25 fiscal year as presented.
So moved.
Any board member wishing to make a comment? Oh, sorry, I didn't see that in my thing. Go ahead, Ms. Berrigan.
Thank you. While we wait for there's the presentation. I thought this was why everybody was here tonight. Apparently not. Nonetheless, I have, I believe, what is, I think, important information for our district this evening, and that is the results of our fiscal year 24-25 audit. We will review the purpose, scope, and results of our annual financial audit and discuss the requirements that we have for auditing our process, the reports generated from the audit, as well as how we landed, what were our results. If you see on this slide, this is a list of various deadlines and date requirements that we have in relation to, for me? Thank you. Items that we have in relation to deadlines. And I won't read through all of them, but you know that we are working on multiple years at the same time. And at this point in time, we are presenting audit, but also preparing for our 26-27 budget, which we will be proposing and adopting in June. Our audit requirements come to us from a few places, starting with Arizona Revised Statute 15914, and it requires that we have an USFR compliance questionnaire completed if our M&O budget is in excess of $2 million. Our M&O budget is certainly in excess of $2 million. And as well, we also have to undergo a federal single audit if we receive federal funds, which are grants in excess of $750,000. By the way, that threshold will change for next year to $1 million, but we certainly exceed that threshold as well. The legislature changed the requirement in spring of 2021 for the governing boards to do a roll call vote. So at the end of this agenda item, Rochelle Miller will take you through the roll call vote for that. And then we have various requirements and uploads that we have to do to include our annual financial report and a compliance questionnaire and all of those pieces. And that goes to Arizona Department of Education as well as to the county superintendent's office. In terms of our process, we have external auditors, and the start of that process begins when we can procure their services through a competitive process. Fiscal year 25, so the audit we just completed, that is the fourth year of a 5-year contract, so we'll next year be going out for procurement on audit services again. Our financial data that we send to the auditors includes many things, but the most important thing is our general ledger. Our general ledger is an accounting of all financial transactions in the district. The additions, the expenditures, the journal entries, anything that goes through our accounting system is part of our general ledger, and they start with that as a basis for the fieldwork requests that are then sent to us. Our staff prepare the documentation to respond to those fieldwork requests, and the auditors then review that and repeat for any additional requests that they may have. For our audit reports that we issue, we start with our communication to governance. We then have the annual comprehensive financial report, the single audit report package that I mentioned for federal funds, and then the Uniform System of Financial Records compliance questionnaire. The communication to governance letter, this is sort of the auditor parlance. It doesn't sound super exciting, but these are all the words that we want to have in our communication to governance letter. That includes that there were no difficulties encountered in performing the audit. There were no disagreements with management. Management has provided all of the required representations, and then Heinfeld and Meach, who is our auditing firm, they complied with their independence requirements for auditors through the AICPA Code of Professional Conduct. So while those are all probably very droll ways, as auditors may be, of saying that things went very well, that is the way to say things went very well. With our annual comprehensive financial report, again, they don't use super exciting language. We have the unmodified opinion, or what was formerly known as the clean opinion. That is the best opinion you can get on your annual comprehensive financial report. And these are some of the areas that that report covers: the management's discussion and analysis, our government-wide financial statements, our fund financial statements, and then we have notes to our financial statements to help the community or anybody who is interested try to understand and make sure that there is some clarity about what the financial statements are reviewing. And then we have a statistical section. We have a statistical section with various statistics of the district. In our single audit reporting packages, there were no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses identified in our financial statements or in our internal controls. Again, that's absolutely as we would want to see it. That's the best opinion or result of that piece of it. And in the comment section, the quote is, "In our opinion, Paradise Valley Unified School District number 69 complied in all material respects with the compliance requirements referred to above that could have a direct and material effect on each of its major federal programs for the year ended June 30th, 2025. Then we move into the USFR compliance questionnaire, as mentioned. This is in compliance with state statutes. These are some of the areas that are reviewed, probably the areas with the most review pieces in them, but it's not just limited to these 10 areas. There are 18 areas total. The next two slides delineate the 8 findings that we had for the Uniform System of Compliance questionnaire findings. And there are 171 questions, on this. But you'll note in each of these, you see the section that the question falls under, the number of the question, the language of that question, our auditor comments with our district notes, and then a district remedy to that finding. And this is the second page. So we did have the 8 minor noncompliance items on Uniform System of Financial Records. The average findings in the state are between 18 and 20. So we did much better than the average in the state, which puts people at about a high B, 88 to 89% compliance. With 8 findings, our compliance is at 95%. So very proud of the work our staff have done to achieve that. Recently, the governing board received an email from the Office of the Auditor General in relation to the financial risk analysis, and I wanted to go over that briefly with the board again this year. That's been updated with the fiscal year 25 data. The district was notified or identified as high risk in 2 of 10 areas reviewed by the Auditor General. And just as a note, there were 9 districts categorized as high-risk districts in the state of Arizona. There's about 220 districts in the state. And as a comparative measure, only 2 districts were categorized as high-risk last year, so that number's increased. And then I will note, while many districts, like Paradise Valley, are identified as high-risk for certain measures, individual measures should not necessarily be viewed in isolation, and the 2 that we're noted high risk in, I'll discuss here momentarily. This is just a screenshot of what that email should have looked like that you received from the Office of the Auditor General. The first high-risk measure that we have is our change in weighted student count, and you see the 1-year change as well as the 4-year change there. And it's no surprise that we're losing enrollment. 7 of the 10 largest school districts in the state of Arizona are declining in enrollment. Across the state, there are various reasons for that. Significantly lower birth rates since the recession, school choice, expansion of ESA, and then frankly in our area we have little affordable housing as well for younger families to be able to move into our area. The other high-risk measure that we have is our capital monies redirected to operations. As we talk about each year, we put 90% of our district additional assistance allocation from the state, not our override, but the allocation from the state. 90% of that goes towards our M&O budget, and so they see this as a redirection of capital monies. Rather than spending that DAA on capital, it goes to M&O to support staff salaries and benefits. This is a conscious decision on the part of the district. We have sufficient funds to cover our capital needs, and in the past, the district has felt like where we need further support is in M&O. So the state allows for that flexibility, yet the Auditor General continues to indicate that it might be a high risk for school districts, and that is because some school districts may be using that as a way to balance their budget, and eventually they're going to run out of the DAA allocation and have to find another way to balance their budget, and that's not the set of circumstances we're in. Moving back to our audit results on the annual comprehensive financial report, we submit that each year to both ASBO International and the GFOA to receive awards if we meet all of the requirements and timelines, and those were submitted by December 31st. We also submit the annual comprehensive financial report for our continuing bond disclosures. So I don't know if everyone's aware, but when you sell bonds as a public entity, it's our responsibility to make sure that those people who have purchased our bonds are aware of our financial circumstances. And so there's a website called Emma where anybody can go and look up the financial information for anybody who has a bond. And we have to post all of our information there annually as another measure of transparency. All of our required reports have been issued: the annual comprehensive financial report, the single audit report, the USFR compliance questionnaire. And then we report to a number of different agencies on all of that information, including the Arizona Auditor General, the county school superintendent. It goes to a federal clearinghouse, so that's public facing, and anybody can review our information there. The Emma bond disclosure, as I mentioned, and then we also submit to ADE grants management and ADE school finance. Our information is everywhere. All of these reports were issued to our oversight agencies before the final deadline of March 31st of this year. We provide access to our financial reports on our website. If anyone is interested, you just go to pvschools.net, click Departments, and then Budget and Finance. Here we have listed some of the resources that I've mentioned this evening. And most importantly, I would like to say thank you to some very important people, including Kathy DeStefano, our internal auditor, who helps plan, prepare, and organize for when our internal auditors come. Mr. Connor Hutchison, who is our Director of Finance and manages the bulk of the work that's reviewed in the audit, and Ms. Eva Caius, who probably has the next most significant role, who's our Director of Purchasing and making sure that everything is set for our purchasing. But also you see noted on the right-hand side the various departments. There are people in particular all throughout finance and purchasing, but as well in technology, human resources, and even at our schools who help provide information for our auditors. And I appreciate the work of everybody in preparing for that each year. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Berrigan. Now may I have a motion to accept the 2025 audit reports for the 2024-25 fiscal year as presented?
So moved.
Any board members wishing to make a comment or have a question? Dr. Lim?
So you mentioned the oversight agencies that we had to notify. Are those all required agencies that we're notifying?
Yes.
Okay. None of them are optional that we're choosing to put it into?
No.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? I just would like to say thank you for all the work you did. This is a huge monumental task, and of course, you guys came through with shining colors again. Well done, well done.
Thank
you can
you.
clap your hands, that's okay. Yeah, good job, yeah. It's awesome. So I believe this takes a roll call vote, right?
It
We have
does.
to do a roll call vote. Mrs. Miller, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Greenberg,
Aye.
Mrs. Christensen,
Aye.
Dr. Lim,
Aye.
Mr. Pantera,
Aye.
Ms. Wani.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is items for approval G3, guaranteed maximum price number 2 for construction management manager at risk services for Indian Bend Elementary School rebuild, contract 25-017. Mrs. Berrigan.
Thank you, President Pantera. And while our team from both Grace and Chase, Grace, as a reminder, is the architect on the project, and Chase is the building team on the project, I am going to click and hope that a video plays before Mr. Bala presents. Shall I click again? I'm going to try. There we go.
Should have a clicker somewhere.
Can we get their presentation? Thank you.
That would be a good thing. All right, perfect. Well, good evening, President Pantera, members of the governing board, Dr. Corson, cabinet members, community members. I guess the grand reveal already happened, so I have the tough act of following that nice video with a bunch of words and pictures, but I will try my best. This has been a culmination of a years-long process, as you know, and we're fortunate and proud to be a part of this journey, and I'm happy to present, and today there is an ask of you, of what our friends from Chase Building team who have been working closely with us and the district leadership to bring this to reality. So I'm so happy to present this to you. Just as a quick refresher, here's where we are with the process. As you saw, the design is at a level where construction has begun, and we're getting underway significantly with the building construction. And as you know, the process has been a very community-led, community-involved process over the last year. And this involvement has been pretty robust, going back to last fall, having multiple engagements with a steering committee, providing the shape to the process that gave birth to the new Indian Bend, including multiple engagements with students, which has been a big plus in this entire process. And here's a student engagement that several of our team members have been able to participate in, allowing students to imagine what learning could look like in some of these spaces. And so a big part of a school design is very easy for us to think about schools as buildings, but schools are more than buildings. It's a community, and I think part of the process is to engage students in that process, to give them the opportunity to make this home. And that has been an ongoing effort for us. So just to kind of recap how we landed today, the community engagement process allowed us to develop these 3 big memorable goals that essentially were guiding principles on how this project evolved. And just a quick recap, thinking about collaboration without friction and how we create connection to nature and wellness. Some of the aspects of the old Indian Bend School, how do we carry that forward in a responsible way? And then developing environments that are built to explore. So these memorable goals translated into big bucket ideas from collaboration without friction, thinking about aspects of flexibility, a variety of spaces, and thinking about connection through the lens of outdoor learning, which is built into the campus, and safety and security as we've presented to you before. And the idea of creating a well-sustainable environment. There's a lot of materiality that the project has embraced, including carbon-neutral carpeting, zero-waste PVC, zero and low VOC paints and finishes, including having a mechanical system that provides 3 times more air exchanges than the previous buildings did, and providing high filtration across all of the campus classrooms and other learning and social and academic spaces. So building those ideas together is how we were able to bring forth the idea of connection to nature and the wellness part of it. And then the Build to Explore component of the memorable goals translated through a serious investment in technology and thinking about technology as it interfaces with space and furniture, and also thinking about ideas of transparency. How can we be responsible trying to provide connectivity between spaces where a community is being built while being safe and welcoming at the same time. And the goal of bringing those 3 ideas to bear across the entire campus is what you saw as the design that played as the video. And here's a quick recap of how the building itself is organized. This is a first level view of the 2 buildings, 2 big buildings, the classroom and the Student Services Administration building on the north, and then the multipurpose facility just south of that, providing classrooms which are all coded in a tan color, and then the administration, which is right up front. And then the large yellow-orange box on the south side is the multipurpose space, which has a stage that opens into an amphitheater space. So as you saw in the video, here's some still shots, a poor substitute for the video we just saw, but it kind of recaps the view, aerial view of how the new facility looks like. Here's a view from the main street frontage, which was a major goal for the project, is to provide that visibility and frontage as people drive by on a major thoroughfare. They begin to see the new Indian Bend taking shape, and that's a significant goal that we were able to achieve. And just a close-up view of the entrance. Once again, protection built through bollards and hardening of all the glass you see right up front to making the facility feel welcoming while it's also safe. And some visuals of some of the interior. Here's the secure lobby, which again has a lot of glass, but also all the glass is hardened. So it's a single point of entrance, as we've presented to you before, that is still welcoming, but protects everybody else behind those glass reception areas and into the commons of the school. And more visuals as somebody would be walking through the main concourse, going up the stairs. And this is walking right through the back of the classroom building, as somebody would be walking through the amphitheater space attached to the multipurpose, which has an indoor and outdoor stage that opens into the amphitheater. And the visual of the multipurpose space itself, having the ability to provide both food service but also athletics with a divider curtain that rolls up when it's not necessary. Here's the way it would look when the divider curtain rolls right out. More visuals of some of the spaces, common spaces within the classroom pod. And then here's a visual of the media center, which has beautiful views of the scenic nature that we can experience now. Now, this is a 2-story facility. And here's a view of the south side, the secure play areas adjacent to the multipurpose space where the littles would be playing. And then here's a view of some of the other spaces. This is right under the solar canopies that we're retaining and designing the facilities under, leveraging an existing an element into an asset as part of that process. And here are a few more visuals of it. Now I'd like to invite our friends from Jay's building team, who are somewhere there, to speak through the guaranteed maximum price ask.
All right, thank you, Sarvanan. He's always a very, very tough act to follow, so we will do our best. Governing Board President Pantera, Governing Board members, Dr. Corson, Cabinet, thank you for having us here tonight. We're excited to be here, as Sarvanan mentioned. There's been a lot of effort on a lot of our parts getting this to where we are today. I hope you've all driven by the site and seen the progress. It's really cool to see. We're showing actually an Instagram page right now to increase the transparency and the engagement with the community to see what's happening during construction. So just a lot of really cool things to happening so far, and so we're really excited to be here. Photo that we see here, one of the things that we do like to do, again, when we talk about the community engagement part, the display that has been put forth in the new or the existing Indian Bend Elementary School where they are now occupied, gives you an interactive look at what's going on. You can step into that lobby, you can scroll through, you can see what's happening. So again, parents, students, the public, anyone who does decide to go through that lobby can actually see what's happening in real time. That's updated during construction. So a nice little cool piece that you can do to track what's going on as well. And I'll turn it over to Rhett to talk about our indoor air quality.
Thank you. So one of the key aspects that we're going to be practicing during the course construction is the indoor air quality. In addition to some of the design elements that Saravananda was just mentioned, which has some of the HVAC efficiencies and changing out filters, throughout the course construction, we're going to be doing a key focus on maintaining the indoor air quality. What that looks like is ensuring that we're going to have a very clean job site, minimizing the amount of dust that goes lands on the ground. So we're going to have daily cleanups, ensuring that there's daily cleanups, and also MERV 8 filters. Typically, throughout the course of construction, we just have filters in the registers, and at the end of the course of construction, we just swap them out. But in this case, we're going to be doing it every 2 weeks. Right, so it's a very big practice we're going to be doing every 2 weeks, swapping out those filters. In addition to that, what we're going to be doing is minimizing the amount of dust that goes into the actual duct work. How we do that is wrapping up the ductwork openings with what would be like just a plastic film, saran wrap. Thank you. What that does is minimizes anything that goes inside or inside the ductwork, so that when we turn the ductwork on, no dust is going to be into the air itself. Right. Additional would be low VOCs. Grace is great at speccing out items that are low VOCs. So when we go to paint, the paint is already low VOC. And when we go to paint, we're going to ensure that a lot of the materials, like acoustical wall fabrics or ceiling tiles, are not going to be installed yet. We're going to focus on making sure that it's after the fact, so the smell of the paint is not going to be on that fabric, right? Because if you go to paint sometimes, you kind of lingers. We're going to try to minimize that as well. Some other things that we're going to be doing is getting an air quality tester involved throughout the course of construction. So when we actually have the envelope enclosed in the building, we're going to have an indoor air quality tester come in, ensure that throughout the course of construction, we'll have them do tests inside periodic rooms, and then also test the quality of the outdoor air as well, ensure that we're in compliance with the plan that we have written out for you. And then at the end of the course construction, what we're going to do is flush out the building. And that looks like either a 48-hour sequence of just constant outside air moving in and out of the building, or the other alternative would be just 14 days of HVAC ran before you guys actually occupy the building. Essentially just giving this building a fresh new air, and of course replacing the filters as well. That's essentially what we're going to be doing throughout the indoor air quality.
Wow, that's a lot of feedback. President Pantera, may I ask a question before I forget on this? It's just a term that I want to find.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you define what low VOCs are, and the reason why we're changing the filters out every 2 weeks? Is that for concern for the surrounding community, or what does that mean? Sorry.
So yeah, VOCs are volatile organic compounds, and so those are typically solvents that are used on a variety of product, paints, sealants, varnishes, things of that nature usually have VOCs in them. The specification that we've used on this project are below the percentages of VOCs for paints and whatnot. So it's standard operating procedure to flush the buildings before they're occupied. And what they're doing is they're doing a higher order of flushing than what would be typically considered standard practice.
Is that because of the age of the current building?
No, this is in the new buildings. So it's just to ensure that the quality of air when students move in is higher than what would typically be required. So that it's a higher than standard practice is what they're employing.
Thank you.
Then I believe the second part of your question was regarding the air filters themselves. So as the air is running through the building when we're finishing up construction, Rhett had mentioned what happens is sometimes particulates and things settle within that ductwork. So when they do flush that out, the air filters are obviously catching all of that. We're replacing that, and so it's just another layer of protection to make sure that when all is said and done and the building is turned over for occupation, then the air coming through that is not being affected from any of that. The last part of our slides here are just showing information on what has happened so far. So GMP1 that we had previously approved back in September, That was what allowed us to get started with our demolition, our early procurement, some early earthwork phasing that we had done that you had seen so far, because we are now actually into digging the footings on the project. And this final slides coming up here are now our proposed GMP2 that we have put together with the team to capture the rest of the costs on the project as we have come through the rest of construction, design, document development, and worked tirelessly with our teams here to go through and get to a number that we are now presenting to you for your approval tonight. And the next slide is the cumulative costs for both GMP1 and GMP2. So total construction costs of $31,516,477. Any other questions?
May I have a motion to approve the guaranteed maximum price number 2 for construction manager at risk services for Indian Bend Elementary School rebuild, contract 25-017 as presented?
So moved.
Now, does any board members have questions or comments? Mrs. Wani?
I just have a couple comments. Thank you for all that. It was beautiful, very exciting. And thank you for the indoor air quality management plan. I really appreciate the thought that went into it. I think that it's seizing every opportunity we possibly can at the beginning of a project, I think is, we only get that opportunity once, right, to do it right. And so I really do want to just express my appreciation and for going above and beyond to make sure that we're ensuring that that building is ready for students to come in, and we've got the best system possible in there. So thank you very much for all the work that went into that.
Of course. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? All right then. All those in favor say aye.
Sorry, I stopped comments.
What?
I was waiting for others to go. I did have some questions. I think this one might be to Ms. Berrigan. I just wanted to know what the original budget of this build was. Did we have?
Yep, the original budget for
The estimate.
bond, and this number here, can we put that back up? I didn't have it memorized yet. 31 million something or other. Thank you. This also includes the what's called adjacent ways. We have an adjacent ways budget separate from bond that can cover expenditures adjacent to the property and fire lanes and things of that nature. But the bond budget, the original bond budget is 32.5, and they're about 150,000 below that original bond budget. Not a lot, but I'll take every penny. And then additionally, there's contingency that's in here as well. And if we don't use all of that contingency, that's kept here at the district. So.
Great. So I'm not.
So I'm sorry, the contingency is built into this number. Okay.
Correct. Sorry.
Okay, good. I like to hear under budget. That's great.
Don't we all?
Earlier in the meeting, I had talked about the privilege of meeting the community, and so I'm really happy that you are taking all that into community, because Indian Bend is a wonderful community. It has a lot of really, really great people, and just, it's a staple, and it's been here in our community in the PV community for so long. This also may be a question for Ms. Berrigan. We talked about declining enrollment, and the current enrollment last year was 514, and it's now in fiscal year, that was 25, 26 is 429. And you promised that with this state-of-the-art building, we're not going to close this school. We have talked about potentially school closures in the future. What is our mitigation plans for getting more students into this state-of-the-art facility? This is exciting. It's a beautiful building. We want many more students in there. So, and you probably might not know this, but what would be the impact for the other schools in the area if we, yeah.
So we have about 400 students who live in the boundaries of Indian Bend but attend a different school. I'd mentioned that in other meetings. It's actually a little bit more than 400 who attend schools outside of this district. So our hope is to draw as many of those people back What I have noticed in my many years in school business is there are a few things that draw families to a school, and frankly, a new school building is one of them. People want their children in the best of the best. So I think frankly, the best marketing endeavor there is the building itself, particularly because it resides right on Thunderbird. But we have efforts in place that we've talked about to ensure marketing, continued marketing throughout the building process and as the school is built and as students are able to enter in January. I don't know if Dr. Lindsay may want to add anything to that about the attraction of families.
I would just say that we have ongoing marketing efforts at the school with kindergarten roundups and different informational sessions, and this new build project is always talked about. Every opportunity we share about it.
And I was just wondering, have we considered possibly doing, before the kids move in, an open house just to gather more buzz in the community? Because it's going to be an amazing school.
We will do an open house. I think, Doc, do you want to share something on that? I see you nodding your head in excitement.
Yes, we are excited about that. We've been working with the Indian Bend team on preliminary plans for that. We're still a ways off, but our intent is to be able to welcome students and families and show them the building before the first day of school in the second semester. But again, that will all be determined on when we get those permits to get into the building, and we're holding everyone accountable to meeting those schedules.
Mrs. Wani?
So, Mrs. Christensen asked a great question about, how could this potentially impact surrounding schools? Do we think that there will be any impact potentially on drawing PV students from PV campus?
Potentially.
Will there be hopefully some ongoing conversations about how to make other campuses equally, as attractive maybe for programs or other kinds of things that we can do to support enrollment at those other places as well?
We have a bond program in place. Dr. Davis is working to evaluate plans related to replacement. We have, I don't remember, somewhere around $120 million of bond funding left even to be sold, let alone to be spent at this point in time. Because our voters are so generous in approving bonds for us, we have the ability to continually improve all of our buildings. We're closely evaluating, as Dr. Corson will share information with the governing board at a study session next week about what school closures may look like and future programming for schools. And we also recognize that curb appeal is important to families and making sure that the building looks inviting and comfortable for their students. So we are continuously working on that as well. Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is item for approval G4, Business Operations Departmental Travel Request. Mrs. Berrigan.
So sorry, turning to the right page. I'm putting on my glasses. Okay. Thank you, President Pantera, Governing Board members, Dr. Corson. The district is requesting approval to send staff from facilities and transportation to the Arizona Association of School Business Officials Spring Conference. The conference is a core professional development opportunity for Arizona public school operations professionals and is specifically focused on Arizona-specific statutes, rules, and compliance requirements. Conference content includes topics such as school facility planning and construction, procurement and contracting requirements, capital funding and bond management, risk management and safety, transportation and compliance, maintenance best practices, energy and efficiency strategies, and project delivery oversight. All of these directly support safe, efficient, and compliant district operations. Attendance at this conference represents a prudent investment in maintaining strong operational stewardship, safety, transparency, and accountability on behalf of the governing board and community. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
May I have a motion to approve the Business Operations Department travel request as presented?
So moved.
Any board member wish to make a comment Mrs. Christensen?
Yes. Yes. So we continue to send individuals out of state travel. Is this in state or is this one in state?
This is out of state,
It's out of state. That's what I thought.
just across the border.
We're doing bargaining, and we're looking at every penny of savings, and I just will continue to point out that I would really like the district to try to look at either online or in-state training for our staff members. Again, as I mentioned last meeting, we've lost 8,000 students in 10 years, which is equivalent to about 120 million a year. And our revenues are based on average daily membership, and that continues to decline. So revenues are declining. Our expenditures are not declining. They are increasing, and I'm just concerned that we need to save every penny, because I would like to see more dollars in the classroom, more dollars for teacher salary, more dollars for staff. And I do understand that school finance is very complicated and there's very different buckets. However, I just feel every little bit that we can save can go into the pockets of our amazing staff members.
Mrs. Wani?
So I did notice when reviewing the materials before tonight's meeting that this is the Arizona Association of School Business Officials Spring Conference that they are holding in Nevada, correct?
Correct.
And I'm assuming that's because we have a large state and there are probably lots of rural even districts that this is not a very far travel for them and they've thought about that. So is it fair to say, so there is no in-state option because this is Arizona focused?
That is correct, not for this conference. The spring conference specifically is held in Laughlin, and part of the logic behind that is the hotel rates in Laughlin are very, very reasonable. And you will note probably that the cost of this conference for 6 people to attend is about the same or somewhere between 50 to 100% of what it costs normally to send one person to an out-of-state conference. So as it comes to pricing, it's fairly reasonably priced.
Have you attended this or has your staff?
I have attended this for many years. I'm not attending this year, but I have attended it for many years.
Would you say that you take information from this conference that helps you make fiscally responsible decisions and budget and come up with ideas and ways to potentially save the district money that can then be used for other things like staff programs?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Lim?
So can I get some clarity? When searching this conference, it looks like there's one that happens in the spring and one that happens in the fall. Is that correct?
There's one that happens in the summer.
Or, yeah, end of summer, beginning. So what is the
July.
difference between these two different conferences?
So this spring conference is focused more on the practice and often the day-to-day for the operational side of the house, whereas the summer conference is focused more on financial procurement and like what I would say office-related work.
Great. So I guess I'm looking for some clarity. I've gone ahead and pulled the agenda for the last year's conference for this particular time period, and I only actually see very few sessions for transportation. Most of them are geared around facilities and other spaces like that. So why are we sending 3 staff for transportation when most sessions only have one single item for transportation to attend?
So sometimes the transportation folks will also attend other sessions like procurement as things are related to their job titles for procurement and the responsibilities that they may have. Additionally, it's helping to build the bench in transportation and ensure that we have multiple staff members that have the knowledge necessary to help run the transportation department.
So our individuals that we're sending, are they some of our longstanding transportation employees?
Well, one of them's the director who's not. He's our interim director, so he's filling in for the time right now. And the other ones, I believe, are both longstanding.
Okay. Mrs. Greenberg?
Yeah, I appreciate the information. I'm reverbing here, aren't I? Appreciate the information. You know, I appreciate also that we do everything we can. And I think that was shown in the audit reports. I think that's been shown in, what we just approved. We get information down to the penny of what things are going to cost. Our construction report shows that as well. I don't believe that requests like this are brought to us for any other reason than to support the district. And in this case, I think as Ms. Wani brought up and Ms. Bergen confirmed, there's probably going to be information coming out of here that's going to save us more than the approximate $3,857 that this would cost. So personally, I think this is an incredibly cost-effective proposed conference to attend. I'd also, and probably will continue this point out over time, is that, we are a school district and we expect our students to be lifelong learners, or we hope that is a value we instill in them. And I think as employers of our, all of our employees, that's something we should be supporting in our employees as well. And I look at when we are asked to send employees to various professional development conferences, that's exactly what we're supporting. And again, it seems like this one is probably the most cost-effective one we've seen. Although I do think that, everything, whenever we do approve these, we are making a true investment in our employees to support our students and our schools. And so I appreciate that we are getting all of this information, and I think I personally will continue to support them because I think that's something we should be doing.
Any other comments? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay.
How many was that? 2, 3? 2. Any abstentions? 3 ayes, 2 nays, no abstentions, the motion passes. Next on the agenda is items for approval. G7, acceptance of gifts and donations. At this time, I would like to thank all of our donors and call out a few of our generous donors. I've got a list right here. I won't read them all. Desert Cove Elementary School, from Healthy Foods, Healthy Minds, $2,540. We've got Barry Morgan Smith, $3,500 at Horizon High School. That's PV Schools Education Foundation, helping the James P. Lee Sun Kids, $4,888. We've got the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation over at Mountain Trails Middle School, $5,625. North Canyon High School, Healthy Foods, Healthy Minds, $38,981. It's a negative meal account balance donations. That really helps out those kids. Couple more here. Over at Sky Crossing, the Sky Crossing PTO Incorporated, $37,000, $37,541 for shade structures there. That's great. And that's just a few of those things. And we're very thankful for all the people who are helping our district in any way they can that way. May I have a motion to accept the gifts and donations as presented?
So moved.
Any board members wishing to make a comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is call to the public. Please turn your attention to the video monitors for the next section.
Call to the Public is about to convene. This portion of today's meeting allows the public the opportunity to address the governing board. Although state law does not require that the governing board hold a call to the public, the Paradise Valley Unified School District and its board have chosen to do so because we believe it's important to hear about concerns and issues from our community. While Call to the Public is not designed to be a discussion, The board is here to listen. Due to Arizona open meeting law, the governing board cannot respond to, discuss, or take any action on items brought up during this time. However, staff members may be directed to get back to you and address individual concerns. As a reminder, the point of this and every board meeting is to accomplish the business at hand, and to be able to do so in an open and collaborative way. All in attendance are expected to observe meeting rules, as well as rules of politeness and decorum, so that we may serve as an example to our students that issues can be discussed in a respectful and civil manner.
Tonight, we have 11 people who have submitted comment cards prior to the start of the meeting. Each speaker will have 3 minutes for remarks. As a reminder, we ask that you please direct your comments to the board. Please state your first and last name when you come to the podium. Our first speaker is Maria Smith, and next will be Kiara Aquino. Okay, thank you. Maria Smith, there we go.
Okay, this is my first time doing this. So, good evening, President Pantera, members of the governing board, and members of cabinet. My name is Maria Smith, and I'm a soon-to-be kindergarten parent, and my family lives within the PV school district boundaries. I'm here tonight as you consider changes to the district-wide bell schedule to respectfully advocate for an earlier start time at Quail Run Elementary School. I work near downtown Phoenix and need to be at my office before 8:30 a.m. each morning. Quail Run's current 8:45 start time makes that extremely difficult, as my commute is about 30 minutes with traffic. While I understand that before school programs are available, that would be an added expense that I'm hoping to avoid. I also do not believe I qualify for bus transportation. And from what I understand, the reason for the bell schedule changes are due to some challenges when it comes to bus routes. I wasn't able to attend the January board meeting in person, but I did watch the YouTube recording and review the presentation regarding the new potential elementary start times of either 8:10 a.m. or 9 a.m. If I understand correctly, those are the two options being considered. Of those, I am here to ask that 8:10 a.m. would make a meaningful difference for working families like mine. Quail Run is my top choice for my daughter. I have been incredibly impressed by the International Baccalaureate program, the school's diversity, the STEM and art classroom, and especially Principal Vicki Raymond. I have visited the campus twice, once for a tour, a group tour, and once for the Kinder Roundup event, where Mrs. Raymond stayed late to help me complete my daughter's registration. I was also impressed during my school tour that the kids were very well spoken. I asked them some questions, and they all looked very happy to be there, and I think that's important. We are in an open enrollment family, and I feel very fortunate to have options. I have attended 3 kindergarten recruitment events, considered 3 public school districts, and a charter school, and toured a total of 9 campuses, just to give you some context. After all of that research, it is very clear to me and my family that Quail Run is the right fit for our daughter. However, the bell schedule will directly impact whether we can make that choice work. There is another internet IB program in our state that I am considering. I want you to know I'm just one parent among many, and I understand there are competing needs across the district. But as public school districts nationwide face enrollment challenges, I really hope that you consider how start times influence family decisions for families like mine. I just want you to know that an 8:10 start time, something earlier, around 8 a.m., could be the difference between enrolling my child or looking elsewhere. I am a mother of 2, so I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I am looking for an investment, and when I pick a place, I want to stay there for a while. Thank you for your time and thoughtful consideration.
Kiara, can you say it again for me last?
Yes, Dr. Kirakpu.
Okay, and then followed by Nima Disa. Right? Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Kira Kuo. I'm here tonight to formally report what I believe to be a systemic failure of leadership, obstruction of public records, and interference with my parental rights by Principal Martha Maynard, now at Desert Trails Elementary. This district recently terminated its superintendent for incompetence and dishonesty. That decision underscores the very real leadership failures that have allowed misconduct, including the destruction of parents' rights, to persist unchecked. For 2 years, my rights as a parent have been obstructed. Most recently, Principal Maynard sent emails threatening criminal charges simply because I requested transparency and public records. Let me be clear, sending at most 1 email per week, if that, to ask for information about my own child is not criminal behavior. Threatening a parent with legal action for asking for records is intimidation, retaliation, and a violation of state law. Tonight, I am formally placing this board on notice regarding 4 serious issues. First, willful obstruction of public records. I received a response for a 5-year records request containing only 10 emails. That is impossible. I possess proof of hundreds of communications that were withheld. This raises serious concerns about intentional misconduct and violations of Arizona public records law. I am requesting a full audit of the district's electronic archive. Second, ongoing stonewalling by district staff. I have repeatedly contacted district administration, Danielle Elise, Heidi Lindsay, and also Rochelle Miller. Each time, I was told my concerns were being forwarded. 2 years later, I have received no substantive response. This pattern appears designed to delay, deflect, and bury misconduct. Third, manufactured and contradictory documentation. I have documented evidence that Principal Maynard issued conflicting official documents to create a misleading paper trail about me. In addition, a school social worker submitted reports that I believe are factually false. Despite being notified, the district has refused an independent investigation and refused questions. Despite I have asked, and they will not even, I've asked directly, and they will do everything but talk about what I'm asking. Fourth, custody violations. The school has withheld information from me and communicated primarily with the father despite our joint legal custody agreements, which gives us both joint legal custody, joint decision-making, and we are both to be equally informed, and the school is to be a neutral territory and not to choose sides. The school has very clearly shown that they have favored one parent. This is a direct interference with my parental rights under Arizona law and the Arizona Parents' Bill of Rights. This burden is not on me to justify requesting information about my child. The burden is on this district to justify interfering with a parent's rights.
Thank you for your time is up. I'm sorry. Am I saying this right? Nima Desai? I'm sorry. Yeah. And then next will be Tracy Champion.
Good evening, and dear members of the board. My name is Nima Desai, and I am a parent to 2 children in the PV school district. I'm here tonight to talk about the proposed increase in class size and potential loss of teachers at Sandpiper Elementary School, which is a dual language Spanish immersion school. I come both as a parent of my 2 children in this school and also as a pediatrician who understands how children's brains develop. I didn't choose immersion casually. I chose it because bilingualism shapes cognitive flexibility, executive function, and long-term opportunity. But immersion only works when children are actively using the language, speaking, making mistakes, being corrected, and trying again. That requires time and attention. When class sizes increase, something very concrete happens. Each child gets fewer chances to speak. In a traditional classroom, that matters, but in an immersion classroom, it fundamentally alters the model. Language is not absorbed passively. It's built through interaction. From a developmental standpoint, early language pathways are especially sensitive to environment. We know the large-scale research, like the Tennessee STAR study, as old as it may be, that smaller class sizes improve academic outcomes, particularly in early grades. In a setting where teachers are delivering both content and language instruction simultaneously, the cognitive demands are even higher on students and our teachers. And immersion teachers are not easily replaced. Qualified Spanish-speaking educators are a limited pool, and we have felt that the last few years. Increasing class sizes increases burnout risk and makes recruitment even harder. This program works because of the intentional structure, and if we increase class sizes, we dilute that structure. I'm asking you to protect the conditions that allow immersion to succeed, not just for my children, but for every children whose fluency depends on daily interaction. Thank you for your time.
Kimberly Summers, followed by, I think, is that Naomi Fret?
Members of the board, thank you for your time this evening. My name is Tracy Champion. I have a daughter, a second grader at Sandpiper Elementary School. I want to speak specifically about the proposed changes to staffing at Sandpiper Elementary School next year. It is my understanding that staffing reductions at one or more grade level may occur, causing a drastic increase to class size. While I think it's safe to say that no parent wishes for increased class sizes, it is particularly concerning for a language immersion school. PVUSD prides itself on offering differentiated opportunities to its students. As a matter of fact, it is so valued within the district that it is part of the mission statement. What Sandpiper offers is very special and frankly needs to be treated as such. At Sandpiper, if a teacher has 30 students in their class, they likely split their day with 30 different students in the afternoon. That means working to meet the needs of 60 unique individuals and communicating with 60 or more parents. When a qualified teacher sees that they can work at the neighboring elementary school and only support 30 students versus 60, they will be enticed to leave. Small class sizes are not a luxury in this environment. They are essential to its success. The unique responsibilities of an immersion teacher must be taken into consideration when determining class size. Teaching has never been a one-size-fits-all endeavor, but teaching students in a foreign language intensifies the need for differentiation, something that is best accomplished with a reasonable number of students. Our immersion program is something this district should be proud of and should be fighting tooth and nail to preserve and support. If we do not, the self-perpetuating cycle of reduced enrollment, causing reduced staffing, causing further reductions to enrollment will not end. And before you know it, this gem of a school will either close or abandon its language program. We cannot let this happen. The district must show that it supports what Sandpiper is doing. We know that families and the community value language immersion. We see it as more and more immersion preschools pop up and more private schools offer language programs. Let's show the community that you do not have to abandon public schools to get unique quality offerings. I recognize that the board may not directly determine student to teacher ratios at any one particular school site, but your voices hold sway and you are responsible for attending to the educational desires of the community. Please ask yourself if these changes support the mission of the district. I assure you they do not. What Sandpiper offers simply cannot be done effectively with 30+ students per class. I fear this will be the next step towards the demise of a very special program. Thank you for your time, for your commitment to our schools, and for what I hope is your support in urging direct decision makers to reconsider their plans.
Kimberly Summers.
Good evening, President Pantera, members of the board, and members of the cabinet. My name is Kimberly Summers. I'm a parent at Sandpiper Elementary School. I have a kindergartner and a second grader in the Spanish immersion program, and I'm also an educator myself. On your website, you say that PV schools engage, inspire, and nurture students through high-quality instruction and meaningful educational opportunities. Governor Katie Hobbs recently said public education is the key to opportunity. When we invest in students, teachers, and classrooms, we invest in our future. Every kid deserves a quality education, no exceptions. Small class sizes are how we live out those words. Research strongly supports this. As a fellow parent mentioned, the landmark Tennessee STAR project, that study found that students in smaller class sizes showed significantly higher academic achievement, especially in the early grades. Other national research shows that students in smaller class sizes demonstrate stronger language development, which is critical in dual language and Spanish immersion programs. Immersion teachers carry a greater cognitive instructional load. They are delivering academic content while developing a second language. That requires more student differentiation, more small group instruction, and more intentional language scaffolding. Larger class sizes create real barriers to doing that well. My daughter has dyslexia. Traditional literacy instruction has often been a struggle for her, but Spanish immersion has been life-changing. It has given her a place where she feels capable and successful. For students like her, individualized attention is not a luxury. It is essential. This will not be possible with increased class sizes. We are fortunate to have compassionate, dedicated educators at Sandpiper, but one has recently resigned and many are considering leaving because we don't have policies to protect the current class sizes. Increasing class sizes sends the message that we are asking them to do less with more. That is not how we retain excellent teachers. As a board, you have the obligation to advocate for policies that best serve your community, your teachers, and the next generation of Arizona students. If you truly believe that every child deserves a quality education, no exceptions, then we must protect small class sizes, especially in our early grades and immersion programs. As board members, being complicit to this urgent issue will risk long-term costs, teacher burnout, teacher attrition, learning loss, and families leaving the district. Replacing experienced teachers and rebuilding programs is far more expensive than retaining them. This is not just about numbers, it's about whether we are willing to protect the conditions that allow teachers to succeed and students, including those with learning differences like dyslexia, to survive. Please support our teachers, support our students, and protect the learning environments that allow them to thrive. Thank you.
It's Noemi Fred? Am I saying that? I'm not saying that right, am I? Noemi Freddy? Thank you, I'm sorry for that. And next will be Kristen Bradford.
Good evening, Board. I'm a Sandpiper parent who is here along with others who are concerned about the increase in classroom sizes. Next year, classrooms will have about over 30 students in one classroom. 30 students fundamentally change the classroom environment. Dual language teachers will be teaching 60 kids, be responsible for over 60 families, 60 academic and behavioral needs. Please consider adding a third classroom, possibly supporting gifted learners. Prioritize teachers' retention and manageable learning environment. This program is being stretched thin. Thank you.
Kristen Bradford, followed by Andrian Konia.
Hi, my name is Kristen Bradford. I have a second grade student at Sandpiper Elementary. Thank you for listening to our comments today. You spoke a lot about community today, and I think if you visited our school, you would understand it's one of the biggest and most involved communities. I mean, look how many members are up here speaking today. I think that unless you experience it, maybe you don't know, but our students go and learn for English in half the day and they switch teachers, which is why they keep saying that they're going to be responsible for 60 students. I don't know how many people have visited that school or seen the community, but I encourage you before you go and impress this decision, I encourage you to come to our music concert because we have all grades, including pre-K, speaking or singing in Spanish, and we fill that Horizon High School auditorium. I would also encourage you to talk to our teachers because they are the ones who can tell you directly that this is going to be horrendous for the learning environment of our students. It's already stretched thin. The teachers are frustrated. This district does not pay a lot. It is tough to get teachers here, and if you let them go, they are not coming back. And I also think you're underestimating how many parents choose to bring their students to this district for assets like this. I think taking away diversity from this community is a strong statement. I think that devaluing these students, these teachers, and this asset to the district will be detrimental in attendance that you guys have discussed here several times today. And we are entrenched in this community, but without this asset, we are not staying in this district. So please consider doing your very best and advocating for this school the best that you can to make sure our classroom sizes stay about 22 students instead of increasing and our students asking to give up a lot of their teacher time. Thank you.
We've got Andrew
Conan.
Andrew, I can't.
Conan, it's
Conan,
okay.
right, thank you, sorry, sir.
No worries.
And next would be Divya Yoder. Go ahead.
Thank you, board members. My name is Andrew Conan. I am a parent at Sandpiper Elementary School, along with the other parents over here. I think that they more eloquently express what I am also here to express tonight, is the concern about large classroom sizes at Sandpiper Elementary. With this being a dual language school, it's important for the kids to have small classrooms so they get the attention that they need. With the larger classrooms, obviously they're not going to get the attention and they're not going to be able to fully immerse themselves in learning a second language, which I feel is very important. And now having the foresight, I wish I would have been able to do that when I was younger. I actually grew up in the PV schools system. I went to Desert Springs, which is no longer there. Went to Desert Shadows. I went to Horizon, graduated in 2002. But I'm very proud that my daughter's able to go to Sandpiper and be in this district because I think that she can get a very valuable education, and I'd like to see that continue. So I think that we should reconsider, budget. One thing I noticed just during this meeting is that, while the Indian Bend School looks like it's going to be beautiful, $32 million, obviously a lot of money. It seems that we could allocate money to giving schools a facelift or reallocating that to teacher staff so we have more funds available to give to help to students as opposed to just a flashy new school. Again, not taking away, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful school, but we could utilize those funds elsewhere and helping our kids get a better education. Thank you.
Divya Yoder, vote. Am I close?
Kind of. Divya.
Divya?
Yes.
And then followed by Jackie Garcia.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Divya Yoder, and I'm a parent of 2 at Sandpiper Elementary. Our family drives out of district every day so our children can participate in the Spanish immersion program. We chose this school intentionally because we value bilingual education, academic rigor, and cultural opportunity. But I'm here tonight because I'm concerned, as my other fellow parents, on class sizes. Spanish immersion is not a typical classroom environment. Students are learning academic content and acquiring a second language at the same time. That requires repetition, conversation, individualized feedback, and differentiation. In larger classes, those things become harder to provide consistently, not because of teacher effort, but because of simple math. Larger class sizes mean less individual attention per student, less opportunity for oral participation, more time spent on classroom management, greater teacher workload, and burnout. Our teachers are doing everything they can. This is not about teacher performance. It's about structural support. Families like mine are making sacrifices to be part of this program. We are driving out of district because we believe in it. We want to ensure it continues to meet the high standards that drew us here in the first place. I respectfully ask the board to review current class sizes within immersion program, consider appropriate staffing levels for language-based instruction, provide transparency around enrollment distribution and class caps. This is about maintaining quality. It's protecting a program families are choosing, sometimes at great personal effort, because it matters to us. Thank you for your time.
Jackie Garcia, followed by Kristen Stoffer.
Hi, thank you. I have my little support here. I'm also a Sandpiper family, and I also drive to Sandpiper from out of district. I understand that due to the current budget, classes are being consolidated at many of your elementary schools, which results in higher class sizes. But I'm asking that Sandpiper be set apart when you are reviewing these numbers. Sandpiper, as you've heard, is not the same as your other elementary schools, and it is your only Spanish immersion elementary school. It is your signature program, or one of your signature programs. And as you may know, we've said the teachers at Sandpiper switch their kids midway through the day. So they're not just having a 30 caseload. If these classes are raised as a 30 class or a class size of 30, they will have 60 parents to meet with, they will have 60 tests to grade, and they will have 60 kids to prepare for state testing. So it's a little bit different. The grades that these changes are being proposed for next year are 1st through 4th. Our district bargain numbers that I've heard are 28 for 1st, 29 for 2nd, 30 for 3rd, and 32 for 4th. If you bring our current class sizes into only 2 classes from where they are now, we will be at 31 for 1st, 31 for 2nd, 29 for 3rd, and 31 for 4th. So we would be just over those bargained numbers. And as you already know, it's not a simple one-to-one caseload. Our community on the side has been actively recruiting pre-K and kinder kids to come to Sandpiper to learn in Spanish. And we have been successful. But now the consolidation of our classes is taking away the teachers that we just got. I was in this room last year supporting ideas to hire a 4th grade Spanish teacher because we went the majority of the year last year without a 4th grade Spanish teacher, and we lost about 20 4th graders that year. So it's harder to retain these, or it's harder to find these teachers, and now that we have them, we're looking at losing them. So if we do come over the threshold, we won't be able to find them again. It took us nearly the whole year last year. I'm asking you to set Sandpiper apart when you are reviewing class sizes and the bargain numbers, and to re-review where we are at and what is needed to make sure that Spanish immersion program is successful. Sandpiper is different, and it should be treated as such. We will lose good, dedicated Spanish teachers if you do this. So please go back and reconsider your course of action for Sandpiper. Thanks.
Kristen Stoffer.
Surprise! I'm from Sandpiper too. My name is Kristen Stoffer, and I'm a mom of 5 current or former PV Schools students. I want to thank the district for the support shown to Sandpiper, especially around marketing, recruitment, and adding us back to the MLS. I hope that's happening soon. I also hope that our address on the MLS will be corrected, because it's currently this address, which is not helping. We hope that Marcom can gain access to our Google business pages or create new ones so that we show up in the Spanish immersion near me search. Mr. Pantera and I searched inside the school, and we were number 13 on the list. I had to click 3 times, see more, to get to Sandpiper. He can verify that. I want A team, including myself, Julie Ryan, and Kara Bennett, a kindergarten teacher, have been actively marketing Sandpiper in the community and building preschool partnerships. Julie went to 17 preschools in our area to promote Sandpiper and to build relationships. I also serve on the Spanish Teacher Recruitment Committee, where Mr. Varner and the team have worked tirelessly to build a strong pipeline of Spanish educators. Because of that effort, we brought in exceptional teachers we have today. Sandpiper is the district's only Spanish immersion school, and we face real competition from nearby districts and charter schools. Families have choices, and quality is what makes Sandpiper stand out. Right now, we are at a tipping point with class sizes, as you just heard from Jackie. Our immersion teachers are being asked to take on significantly more students. Dual language immersion requires focused instruction, language development, and meaningful interaction, and crowding directly undermines that model. Small class sizes are not a perk. They are essential to success and one of the main reasons families choose Sandpiper. When classes grow too large, we weaken the program, risk losing teachers, and push families to other schools. Our numbers are so close to needing 3 teachers in each of the grade levels, we are losing a teacher. That financially, it's better to keep the teachers we have. It will cost the district far more to recruit and hire new teachers than it will to keep the excellent teachers we already have. Going through what we went through last year caused us to lose 20 students in 4th grade alone. That's just 4th grade. If this happens again, we will lose more students and more trust. Leadership decisions matter. Under the direction of former board president Ann Greenberg, the district has made choices that cost enrollment and money. From staying closed far longer than surrounding districts during COVID, and hiring not 1, but 2 superintendents whose concerns were evident during hiring. Those decisions are now being felt in our classrooms. If you're serious about building trust, rebuilding trust, enrollment, and quality, we must protect what works, and that includes maintaining appropriate class sizes at Sandpiper. Sandpiper is doing the work, our teachers are doing the work, our families are doing the work. Now, we need district leadership to make decisions.
Thank you for your time. And that's all the yellow cards I have here. It concludes our call to the public. Next on the agenda is items for discussion, L1, Career and Technical Education, CTE Pathways. Dr. Corson.
Thank you, President Pantera, members of the Governing Board, Cabinet, and guests. Well, across the nation in Arizona, there's been a strong and growing focus on better aligning K-12 education with college and career readiness. This work recognizes that today's students need more than a single pathway forward. They need opportunities that connect academic preparation with meaningful career exploration and real-world application. By blending college preparatory coursework, dual enrollment, and industry-recognized certifications with high-skill, high-wage, and high-demand career pathways, we can provide students with greater relevance, direction, and purpose as they transition into post-secondary education and the workforce. This represents an alignment between K-12 education and colleges, universities, and industry. In PV schools, our Career and Technical Education Department has been working closely with industry partners, community members, teachers, and school leaders to align pathways across our high schools and to envision new opportunities driven by student interests and workforce trends. Tonight, we have Melissa Malzahn, our Director of Career and Technical Education, along with a couple of our high school principals, to share an update with the Governing Board on this important work. Ms. Malzahn?
Thank you, Dr. Corson. All right, good evening, President Pantera, Governing Board, Dr. Corson, and Cabinet. Thank you for the opportunity to share our work around redesigning K-12 career readiness across PV schools, especially since it's CTE month. Tonight, I'll be sharing how we are building a more intentional, connected K-12 system that prepares every student for success in college, career, and life. What you'll see this evening is not simply a program update, but a more aligned approach designed to help students discover their strengths, explore career pathways, and develop real-world skills that position them for long-term success. This approach also strengthens alignment with workforce and community needs.
Ms. Malzahn, if we could just, there, I think we're pulling up
Oh,
the
wrong one.
presentation.
Sorry.
I believe that's the wrong presentation, though.
Yeah, that's science.
Looks like we're going to get that presentation loaded in just a moment. There, I think we have it up. Ms. Malzahn?
Oh, great.
So if you want to
Yes.
advance to the slide that you were on, that'd be great.
I think I'm here. We're perfect. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rochelle. This work is grounded in our district vision that every learner is empowered for a lifetime of success. The Future Ready PV Graduate Pro framework ensures students graduate prepared, resilient, and opportunity ready. Through structured pathways, real-world learning experiences, and intentional connections between academics and careers. Most importantly, this model ensures PV schools remains competitive and responsive for the evolving needs of our students and community, while maximizing the impact of the resources already invested in student programming. To understand why this is critical at this moment, I'd like to begin by looking at the larger landscape driving this change. There are three primary drivers shaping this work. First, workforce trends show that nearly 3/4 of future jobs require post-secondary education and advanced training. Employers consistently report skills gaps in applied and technical fields. Secondly, student outcome data shows that students engaged in career and technical education programs demonstrate higher graduation rates and stronger engagement in learning. Innovative and relevant career pathways also help districts respond to declining enrollment trends by attracting students and families back to public education. When students see clear purpose and real-world connections and opportunities aligned to their interests, they're more motivated, they're engaged, and more likely to persist towards graduation. Third, this work strengthens our community by building local talent pipelines, supporting economic stability, and expanding industry partnerships. From a return on investment perspective, aligning education with workforce readiness strengthens student outcomes while supporting long-term community sustainability. As we examine these trends more closely, we recognized an opportunity to examine workforce trends and the evolving needs of our community. We recognize the importance of reevaluating our CTE pathways to ensure they remain relevant and aligned with both student and industry needs. Education and workforce preparation have evolved significantly. Across Arizona and nationally, school systems are restructuring around comprehensive college and career pathway models. Universities are also shifting toward career-connected academic programming. This work also reflects the evolution of career and technical education as well. CTE is no longer viewed as separate from college preparation or limited to the traditional trade-based programs. Today, CTE is centered on career-focused learning that prepares students for a wide range of post-secondary opportunities, including universities, certifications, apprenticeships, and direct entry into high-skill careers. Programs such as CREST demonstrate how CT and college preparatory experiences are integrated, offering students rigorous academic coursework alongside career-focused learning. In response to these shifts, PV schools began exploring what a more intentional college and career readiness model could look like for our students. Over the past few years, we have collaborated with key stakeholders, including industry partners, educational leaders, teachers, parents, principals, and counselors to study best practices to identify opportunities to strengthen student preparation for post-secondary success. Through this collaboration, we identified an opportunity to develop a more structured, student-centered pathway model known as the Academy Framework, designed to expand opportunities for students while strengthening long-term workforce and community impact. PB Schools has strong CTE programs. However, students often navigate programs independently, and experiences are not always intentionally sequenced. Families benefit from clearer visibility into career progression. Industry partners benefit from more consistent engagement, and our district benefits from scalable, aligned programming across all campuses. The strategic question became, how do we organize strong programs into a coherent, student-centered system? Our answer is the Academy model. Let me briefly explain what we mean when we refer to academies. An academy is a structured career pathway within a comprehensive high school. It includes sequenced coursework, industry advisory input, work-based learning opportunities, and options for dual enrollment, AP, and credential attainment. Students progress through a structured experience beginning with exploration and ending with capstone and internship opportunities. Our goal is simple but powerful. Every student graduates as a future-ready PV graduate, prepared, resilient, and opportunity-ready. This means students graduate with academic preparation, professional skills, and a clear career direction. This model allows us to strategically align existing resources while expanding meaningful student opportunities across all campuses. Career readiness begins in elementary school and followed by exposure and career exploration in middle school. When students move into high school, students move into skill development, credential preparation, capstone experiences such as internships, dual enrollment, and work-based learning. This intentional progression ensures students graduate prepared for post-secondary success and workforce entry while maximizing the effectiveness of our instructional investments. Beyond structure, this model also produces measurable benefits for students and our community. This system addresses workforce skill gaps and improves student engagement, motivation, and graduation outcomes. It builds a clear K-12 pathway aligned with high wage, high demand, high need career sectors, and strengthens industry partnerships. Let's look more specifically at what opportunities the students will receive. Through the PV Graduate Pro model, students will have access to industry credentials, college credit opportunities, internships, work-based learning experiences, advanced diploma designations, and individualized college and career planning. These opportunities allow students to graduate with meaningful credentials and real-world experience that strengthen both workforce readiness and post-secondary success. To bring this model to life, I would like to invite Horizon Principal Shelley Strophus and North Canyon Principal Jorge Ontiveros to share updates on their progress and the work underway to develop academies at their schools.
Good evening, Governing Board and Cabinet. Like Melissa said, my name is Shelley Strophus, and just wanted to share a little bit about what we've been doing at Horizon. I have been lucky enough to work on the original team that we started laying this out and thinking about what an academy model would look like. So some of the things that we are doing right now so far is we have ongoing collaboration with the district team. I have shared some of our ideas with our school council, which is made up of students, parents, and teachers and staff. And then just last week, I introduced this to our entire teaching staff and our department leadership team so we could start talking about what type of academies might we want to bring to Horizon. So what we're looking at right now is CTE sent out a student survey, and one of the highest response rates came from our high school. And so we are targeting some of our pathways based on what our students said they are most interested in as far as career paths go. So you can see there on the bottom some of our ideas. We're looking at 4 pathways to start with. the Arts, Media, and Communications pathway, which will encompass our very strong, already existing fine arts program. Our engineering and technology program, this one is huge. We have a lot of students who want to major in an engineering program in college, and we already have an engineering program intact, so we'd really love to grow that. And you'll see there it says H3, those are high wage, high demand, high skill jobs. So all of our pathways lead to career paths that are going to grow in Arizona in the next 10 years. They'll be adding about 600,000 jobs in those areas alone. So those are the ones we're targeting as well. Business and innovation, we already have a very strong marketing program as well, so getting students more involved there. And then we're hoping to introduce a health, medical, and bioscience program in the 27-28 year. That is our goal, so we're making some plans now for how we will work with Melissa's team, how we will recruit. We already have some companies and businesses such as Mayo Clinic and ASU that are just really ready to partner with our students and get our students into their businesses and get the exposure to those careers. So we're really excited about this. I really feel like we've been looking for something that we can grow at Horizon. As you all know, we're pretty landlocked, and we're surrounded by a very expensive neighborhood. So it's very hard to grow our enrollment, and we feel like this is going to be one of those things that can help us stand out. We compete hard against 2 of the private schools in town, as well as some charter schools, and I think we can all say that those schools cannot offer these type of pathways like we can. So we're getting really excited to do this work. We've started this work. Next year we'll be really working hard so we can really roll out some of these pathways in 27-28. So that's what we're doing at Horizon. So thank you.
All right, I asked to go first because she said about 3/4 about what I was going to say. First and foremost, I'm proud representative of North Canyon, Governing Board, Cabinet. I'm here extremely proud to present the future of North Canyon. I also started this journey a couple years ago as a middle school principal, and we're struggling in creating that ambition for high schoolers, 8th graders transitioning to high school. They don't get it yet. Right? They struggle understanding the point of high school and seeing the big picture of the 4-year plan. So with the work of a lot of exploration and understanding, North Canyon High School is very proud to announce that we are actually officially underway starting Academies 26-27 with our freshman group. We are looking at, the way I describe it, Ms. Molzon did it a little bit prettier. I explain it this way. Freshman year, you explore it. Sophomore year, you learn it. Junior year, you try it. Senior year, you experience it. We believe in that journey. So not only at North Canyon are they going to graduate with the requirements of rigorous learning through the Paradise Valley Unified School District, but they're also going to walk out with the experiences of a portrait of a graduate. Those collaborative skills, those learning engagement skills that we truly need to teach to our kids, and we learn that through experience and learning. So at North Canyon, we'll have 4 academies starting next year. We have our arts and media, just like Horizons, very similar. We have our applied technologies. That's what I tell our kids is our hands-on projects, right? That blue collar. We have our construction technology. We have autos. We have welding. We also have working with people. We're very excited that next year, North Canyon High School will be introducing a fire science academy, in which we are very proud to work with a lot of Phoenix Fire Department and bring that experience to our North Canyon students. And then the last one is the Innovation and Technology Academy that's going to focus a lot on IT, network security, and things like that. Again, I'm very proud of the journey that we're doing. I'm very excited to give our students this opportunity starting as a freshman level and really get them a chance to explore their future opportunities and see high school as an experience, not just to check the box. So I'm super proud of that journey and very excited to see where this takes us moving forward.
All right, thank you both. Appreciate you both highlighting how this work is taking shape at Horizon and at North Canyon. To ensure long-term success, we are implementing this work through a phase and strategic rollout. Our initial phase focused on program alignment and partnership development. It's important to have those industries working with us. That's going to make this a key program for us. The next phase expands middle school career exploration and freshman academy experience while strengthening work-based learning opportunities. That middle school career exploration is very important. I was a former high school principal myself, and getting those ninth graders to understand that as soon as you hit those doors, it matters. They can, if they don't do well their first semester, they can start knocking themselves out of opportunities, scholarships, many kinds of things. So we're trying to, if we start talking about careers earlier, they're going to know why we're here, why we go to school. We're all going to have a career someday. So we just want to make sure kids are having some intentionality when they do that. The future phase, expand academies district-wide and deepen post-secondary and workforce alignment. This phased approach supports sustainable implementation while maintaining quality and then fiscal responsibility. Because as Mr. Ontiveros stated, fire science, and it's an expensive program. We spend a lot of money on equipment and whatnot, so we'll have to make sure that we are prepared to make sure that we have the best program possible. So this brings us to our closing message. The Future Ready PV Graduate Pro initiative represents a strategic investment in our students, our workforce, and our community. This model allows us to strategically align existing resources while expanding opportunities for students. By intentionally connecting academies, career readiness, and industry partnerships, PV School is preparing every student for success in an evolving world. At PV Schools, our commitment remains clear. Every student, every path, future ready. Thank you so much, and I welcome any questions.
Well, thank you. That was very thorough presentation. I really appreciate it. Does any board member like to make a comment? Mrs. Christensen?
I'd like to thank all three of you for that wonderful presentation, and this warms my heart to see this. While my family all went to college, a lot of my son's friends chose different paths, and I love it because one size doesn't fit all in education or careers. And so I'm very excited to see this come to fruition on a more organized way in our district. So I'm super excited. So I just want to thank you. I know it's not easy to do this type of work and the research involved. And I appreciate, Mrs. Strophus, that you did reach out to the students to get feedback because the world is changing. And when I graduated college and high school like eons ago, it was different. It was a different world, and we were just expected to go to college. But I'm just thrilled that we're doing this and in a meaningful way, especially with, as you stated, with all of the different opportunities that are going to be coming to Arizona and already here. Mm-hmm. Not all of them require a college degree, but they do require skilled workers, and I think teaching that good work ethic, and I love how you said planting those seeds during freshman year to tell them you're not going to be in school and with mom and dad forever. You're going to be a productive member of society in the workforce. So just thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dr. Lim?
Sure. I have a few, but maybe we can bounce back and forth. So my first one was, I know we saw that a Futures Ready PV Graduate Pro, where you talked about the pre-K through 8th foundation. So we just heard from a bunch of parents from Sandpiper the value of learning that language and why they brought their students here. So how are we going to start coupling this with our existing programs? And I'll tell you, let me explain that a little bit more. So we're looking at potentially things in the healthcare sector. One of the most needed things right now is dual language speakers, specifically Mandarin and Spanish, which we teach right here in those schools, because the language barriers are really problematic, and we don't always have interpreters in those spaces, especially in certain parts of the country. So how are we going to begin to couple our CTE programs in our academies with the feeder schools that are coming into them with these amazing magnet programs that are developing amazing skills for our learners that actually could set them apart not only in the CTE pathway, but then set them apart in the career because they're dual language speakers or have these other skills they've developed going through different specialty elementary programs right here in our district.
I guess, through collaboration, you mean for specific students, like give me an example of a program.
We can take Sandpiper, for example, which will, if I understand correctly, feeds into Horizon, and they're looking at a potential health CT program there. To have those students from the beginning be engaging with the science at the elementary school level to get them excited about healthcare would get them into that pathway. But we have to capture them long before they get to middle school. So how are we going to begin to look at, say, our science curriculum at targeted schools that are feeding into these specialty programs to make sure we're capturing these students as soon as possible? My pre-K already knows she wants to either be a tooth doctor or a heart doctor, but that's from her medical experience of being a medicalized child and her being in that space and being around those professionals. How do we get students that experience without having them go through what my daughter's going through, but getting that experience in their elementary school? So instead of being like, I want to be a YouTuber, they're like, I want to be a cardiologist, I want to be a dentist, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a physical therapist. And because that is what's going to grow these programs, is students from the very get-go wanting to come to these programs because they already thought about this when they were 5 years old, drawing their future career in kindergarten in Spanish.
Absolutely. And, as we start moving into the elementary, we haven't even broached that yet, but that is a conversation. Will we have schools that are a career specific school like that? For example, we have Crest, we have Quest, and will we have a smaller version of Crest for those engineers and computer science students? That's definitely a conversation. So I think that'll take some conversation with Dr. Corson and communities and principals as to what they think their families need in their community, and we'll work towards that. Because I agree with you. The earlier we get them, the better we are. So.
And Ms. Malzahn, we have been taking some of our CTE programs kind of on the road to some of our elementary schools to begin introducing them at least to some of the offerings that we have in the CTE program. Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you. CTE Roadshow is what we call it, and we've gone to Desert Shadows, Desert Cove. We're going to Echo Mountain Intermediate and Primary, and Wildfire this semester. We take all of our pathways from the high school. We try to align them with the high school that they're at, so we make sure that we take all of those programs down, and each grade level. For example, when we went to Desert Shadows, they did the little kindergarten did culinary, first grade did nursing, and so our CTSO students, our leaders within the pathway, go down and they do a hands-on activity with the students, and they rotate through the whole entire grade level. So it's been a huge success, but scaling that is, because we want to hit all of them, and they want us back. They're like, well, come bring the rest of the pathways, because of course we can only do, 7. So it's been a great success.
Yeah, and Dr. Lim, we recognize that's just a little introduction, right? What we're talking about is really our vision too about how do we create a systemic K-12 career and college pathway. And right now we're starting to create that vision for the high school, the secondary, but we recognize to your point that this starts much earlier. And so this is really a K-12 experience. We're beginning that work at Greenway Middle School as a feeder to North Canyon, and so our middle school is the next group that is preparing at least for North Canyon's launch, and then we'll be dropping that to the elementary levels as well. So a lot of work to come in the next few years to create that K-12 system.
Great, and I think my only push would be that we do think about that pre-K level, and we do go all the way down to those learners, because many of our schools have those pre-K learners, and one of the biggest issues is getting them to retain into that school. You'll see some of the schools only have like a 30-40% retention. They go off to another school, either out of district or another school that they're not feeding into. So how can we get them excited and engaged as early as possible so they build the trajectory in those elementary schools that they're starting in and building a community in.
Thank you. Ms. Wani?
Thank you so much. This is all very exciting. I have a question about, I heard the word exploration a couple times as that sort of being like the freshman year. Could you just kind of tell me a little bit more about what that looks like?
For the freshman or middle school? Because we're doing one in 7th grade, 8th grade, and then one in the freshmen.
Either or both?
It's
whichever
really
you would like
getting
to
them exposed to many things. First of all, School Links, the School Links platform that we have. There's always a challenge of getting counselors into classrooms, but if we had a dedicated class for this career exploration and ECAP, planning, students will feel more confident when they get to high school about what that is. Because right now they get there and they just sometimes pick random classes. It's not intentional. If we give them that time to build that up, that is going to be a much better opportunity for them. They will also have experience with all 25 pathways that we currently have in our high schools. We're developing lessons we split them up in 7th grade and in 8th grade, so they'll have experienced every pathway that we have, so they'll know what we have across the district. So they may not necessarily go to their feeder high school, they could possibly go to another one if they feel that there's a nursing pathway or something that they would rather go to.
Thank you. And so that's where too, yeah, I mean, I know this is a massive endeavor, and so I'm got to sort of build it. But I think to a lot of the points that we've already sort of talked about, right? The earlier we can kind of expose, families and kids to all these different things, I think the better. And to that same point, I guess, so when engaging, particularly, I think right now, at least where we're at with middle school students, what are we doing to communicate with families? Or what do we hope to do or plan to do? Because I realize, again, this is kind of early on in the building of this, sort of, and I know it's not the very first time or first program that we have, but it is a sort of a new vision, if that's fair to say.
Definitely is. I mean, I envision maybe parent nights where we have them come in and we talk about what the student's going to be a part of. Also, getting really familiar with School Links. They'll be able to see what their student's 4-year plan looks like. They'll have all access to that. And I think that's much better than we have. We used to have the cards where they would just kind of sign off on this, but they're going to be able to have some conversations with their students about what they're choosing. So that'll be a good platform to use.
And that's what I'll just share. So it's not even necessarily specific to our district, but I have definitely heard some feedback in some other places about programs such as these, not quite as well thought out as this though. So we're already, I think, ahead of the game, where families really are feeling like they're kind of left out of that conversation, and then their kiddo comes home and they're like, I'm gonna do this, and I don't want debt from college, and I'm gonna be this for the rest, and parents like, wait, what, right? And they kind of feel a little blindsided. And so I think that options are wonderful. I think that it's, also kind of it's important, but also asking a lot of an 8th grader, even a 9th grader, even a freshman in college to sort of choose a trajectory, right? Especially if they've only been exposed to certain things. So I'm very excited about this exploration piece of it, because I think that's the best thing we could possibly offer our students, is just to even know what's out there, and to make sure that our families are informed and that they can be excited about it too, because what we don't want to do is, right, potentially set up a situation where we're communicating really, really, really well with students and getting them all hyped up, and the parents feel like, kind of came out of nowhere. And again, these are things I'm sort of hearing, I think, because different districts, different states we're all kind of looking at this. This is an important piece that we need to build into our K through 12 education. And I'm watching and I'm let's learn from the mistakes that I think some of these other districts are making, because we have to do everything we can to, I think, engage parents and families too. And then at the end of the day, they'll be our biggest champion of these of these programs, right? And champion for their child too.
For sure.
So.
And our biggest partner.
Yeah,
so that's
absolutely.
really important. Thank you.
Ms. Greenberg?
Yeah, I appreciate everything that has gone into this, and I know how hard everybody has worked on it. We've also talked in the past about, how we use our feeder system in this district. And so it feels like we're overlaying different pieces, and I guess maybe the question is how are we integrating all of that in the sense of maybe where we're considering putting programs as we go through this, or there seem to be some natural fits we have and maybe less so in some places. So how is all of that coming into the conversation?
Well, I think this spring and next year we'll starting to align those middle school pathways. We already have. They do have some CTE there, so really being intentional about aligning those to the high school is the next goal for us, so that students have already experienced that. If they're really loving film and TV, for example, at Greenway Middle School, they also have film and TV at PV and at North Canyon currently, so that they can continue on in that pathway.
Dr. Lim?
So I just want to follow up on kind of two of the programs that we're looking at putting at Horizon and hopefully just put my concerns to bed. So obviously you've got the arts, media, and communication, and then the health, medical, and bioscience. And obviously these do map on to programs we kind of already have. We have the CREST program, and then we have the North Valley Arts Academy program. So how are these going to be different and not pulling from programs that we have invested a significant amount of time, energy, and teachers into, especially with the Arts Academy now having honors classes available in this upcoming school year for students, which is going to change the trajectory of students going to, say, the DAPS and the arts program. So how are we not competing with ourselves is basically my concern.
Sure. So as far as the arts go, I'm sure you're aware the arts program at Horizon is also very robust. And we've laid out some new courses where kids can earn honors level credit once they get into those upper level choirs, for instance, and weaving those AP classes back in there, such as music theory and things like that. And we're also looking at, when we say the arts communication, trying to, we're very cognizant of the budget. And when we're choosing our pathways, we're like, okay, we're not going to choose a pathway that requires us to build a multi-million-dollar facility because Jill said it's not going to happen. Just kidding. I didn't ask her because I knew what the answer would be. So we're trying to tap into what we already have and then how can we morph it into fitting these pathways. For example, we have a lot of students who really enjoy our photography program, but does photography necessarily, are they all going to go be photographers as their career? Probably not. So like, how do we fit that in? So we're trying to morph that into photography with graphic design, with digital media, with learning all of those tools and kind of packaging that all together. So that's one of the ways where it will look different because in the DAPS program, for instance, the pathway that they take is a little bit different. So I think ours will be a little bit different too. And that was kind of the goal amongst our high school principal discussion is we all don't want to have the same things and we don't want to be like fighting with each other, but we want to use the facilities that we already have. And I think this year CREST had to turn away a number of students because they just couldn't fit them. And I'm like, Horizon wants to tap into that. Like, let's get the bioscience, let's get the engineering. So the kids that can't fit at CREST, then we can take them too. And how do we look at what CREST has and make it a little bit similar and different depending on what the kids' needs are, and then what facilities do we have that we can use and morph into to make the pathways work. I was going to mention another idea is tapping into those like future Husky night type things is having these presentations for parents so we can talk about this. And it's a traditional like open house, come walk around, but we could add in some like info sessions of let's talk about this. And the kids can they can try different things. So if a kid were to choose the engineering pathway as their freshman year and then they're like, oh, I realize I really love communication, they could switch at some point in high school and still have 2 years worth to get dual enrollment credit, to get a certification in something else. So we don't want them to feel like, oh, when I make them choose something when they're 14 years old and that's what they're stuck in, but then they still build those skills. One of my school council members, he's our community member actually, he works in like global HR, and I asked him when we were talking about this, I said, what skill do your businesses that you work with, major corporations, say that students need? And he was like, adaptability, just more skills, hands-on things, being able to talk to people. So that's what we're really trying to seek in giving the kids is these experiences where they can get hands-on, and definitely all the way down to the elementary schools, because my 6-year-old wants to be an ice cream scooper. I'm like, that thumbs up to that one. Like, I don't know if that's going to work out for you. And then she layered it in with ice cream taster too, scoop and taste. That's going to be her job.
And Ms. Balzan, specific to like bioscience program at Horizon High School, I would imagine that's going to look somewhat different than what we have at the existing CREST in terms of the specific courses that might be offered for that.
Yes, that pathway would look different for sure. I mean, we haven't built it yet, but we don't want to turn those students away. So having a medical type opportunity for them that they feel is still, an AP track for them, that would be something we want to do.
which I think, Ms. Strophus, you indicated was popular among the student population
Correct.
already attending.
We have a lot of
Horizon.
students who also apply to the healthcare pathways and don't get in just because they just can't fit the sheer numbers. So actually, when I shared this with my staff, my physics teacher came running up to me and he's like, oh, I have this professor. He works at the healthcare campus up by ASU's campus by Mayo, and he wants to do a partnership. Like the ASU gentleman's already emailed Melissa and I. He's like ready to go, like get students in there. And I'm like, this is amazing, and it's so close. And we already have those partnerships with Mayo through our other programs. So I think definitely just trying to tap into those areas that we know we're not fitting kids in because we just don't have the space where we do offer it, and being able to offer that too so they can get it at their, because we do have kids like they want to stay at their school. They don't want to get on the bus and go to, PV, which is what they're doing right now to get some of those classes. And if we can bring some of those to our campus, then that would help as well. So more kids can have access to those programs.
Mrs. Christensen.
Yeah, I know I don't want to beat a dead horse, but just one last thought. I just really concur with what Dr. Lim and Ms. Wani had said about, we were very fortunate because I had quit my job so that I can help my son, and we were supposed to go to Pinnacle, but we knew that Horizon had a nationally recognized choir program only because we did go to Husky Night, and a lot of the other parents didn't realize that. They thought all the high schools offered the same thing, but because I was working in the schools, I was room mom and I was very involved. I knew that, but not everybody does because we have two working parents. So, yeah.
So I was,
Mrs. Wani.
thank you. So, and you already kind of touched on it, which got me really excited. So obviously when we're thinking about these programs, we're thinking about who are the people who are going to teach these classes, and there's obviously lots of talented, professionals in our community. So is kind of the part of the organic sort of building of this, also looking at those partnerships so that it's kind of just like a natural sort of evolution as opposed to like picking a program and then trying to find, the unicorns out there to come in and do it. Is that fair to say? Okay.
Yes, we're definitely looking at partners from around us because we want internships. We want those students to get out there and apply that knowledge that they've received their sophomore and junior year. So that'll be key, having those, so we won't want them to drive 40 miles to
And
another.
by keeping it in an academy at the site, that means, right, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of times if we have a student, for example, who is very interested in a program at PVCC or at a West MEC location or something like that, that means sometimes they might not be able to engage with sports, or they have to make a choice between a dual enrollment or an AP class because they have to spend a significant amount of time, right, sort of going back and forth. So keeping it in-house seems like it gives so much more flexibility and opportunity for a kid to, if that's their choice, right, there's no right or wrong, but if a student loves baseball and wants to play baseball but also wants to take one of these academy tracks, they don't necessarily then have to pick one over the other, which I think is incredible and amazing, and not everybody is doing it that way. So I really very much appreciate it because these are kids and they should get to explore and try out all the things and not have to pick one like we all had to at some point. At some point it was like you just have to pick something. Like let's keep them in that space, that the exploratory space as long as we can.
And that's the key of having counselors involved, because they're going to be the big guide on the side for students, for getting them everything they want. So that's why we want them to have this career exploration, so they're kind of going to know what they want when they hit, they get to 9th grade. That's why 7th and 8th grade is so important. So when they're planning and they're working through school links and planning their 4-year plan, they'll feel a little more confident about that. With their parents.
With the parents.
With their parents.
I would also say, I think I'm hopeful that we have teachers already that are interested in teaching these classes. I have many just on my campus alone that teaching is their second career. Teaching was my second career. And so when I was talking about some of these pathways, there was a few of them that ran up to me immediately like, oh, when I was doing journalism before, I would love to teach a communications class, right? It's not going to be their whole schedule, but a lot of them were very excited. And I think that will kind of be a little bit organic too. Or I have some CTE teachers who came out of the career field because they have retired but still want to teach, or they had a family, and so that's, my engineering teacher, she has a minor in cybersecurity. She's amazing, and I'm like, what? She is a unicorn, but she has 4 little babies. Yeah.
And so also, if there are community members who are listening that kind of fit the bill, maybe, they could
Can we flash Melissa's number
send
on
an
the
email.
screen?
Yeah.
Did you want to say something, Mrs. Greenberg?
How much can we incorporate virtual learning into this as well? It feels like there's going to be some overlap, or it feels like we may have students at one high school that aren't going to necessarily fit into a specific path. But, you know, and particularly if we want to be able for our students to experience, you know, multiple potential pathways before perhaps picking one. And we're laying that out, as we know you're not going to walk in 9th grade knowing exactly what you want, or 10th grade or late. So have we thought about returning to some of those virtual?
We are working right now with PV Online to do some CTE courses where students could do that. I haven't thought about it if a student was in class, you know, in the high school and taking a virtual one. We often do virtual with business partners and, you know, tours like that. We do that already, but we'll think about that. That's an interesting concept.
Dr. Lim?
So I'm in need of Jorge on this one. Sorry, switching principals. As Ms. Wani was speaking, it just got me thinking about kind of the tour we had when we were at Westmec. So you mentioned the blue collar and thinking automotive. Obviously, putting in a huge automotive shop at North Canyon would be amazing, but also very, very expensive. We have to the scale that was my question. Do we have one to the scale that Westmec has at their Deer Valley with paint and all of that? Like, how? I guess my question is, how much are we going to realize that bringing everything in-house is not going to be a perfect fit, and that we need to direct students to certain programs, say in their senior year, to get a little bit more from places like Westmec or the community college, where we actually need to recognize that we have a gap in our program and we're not going to be able to financially fill that gap. So how can we then, in those unicorn of students that want to do auto body paint, and that is their dream, get them to Deer Valley's Westmec campus, because we don't have one, to be able to engage in that part that we just can't fit that gap. Because I mean, I'd love for you to paint cars at North Canyon. It just seems like a very big lift because I've seen the size of their paint shop.
So we do have an amazing auto class as we speak.
Yeah.
Mr. Hennessy does a fabulous job, and actually, believe it or not, we found a unicorn in him. He's a retired firefighter, so he's going to introduce a fire science for us as well.
Awesome.
But with that being said, there's a couple components, especially working for us at North Canyon. Many of our kids are excited about Westmec. They really are. But unfortunately, many of our students do work. Many of our students do not have their own transportation, and that's a difficult challenge for them. We have certain students who do go to Westmec, but we try to provide them as many experiences on our campus as best as possible. Now, we've come up with a lot of resources to give them those opportunities for those bigger programs. Our autos is basic automotives. We do not have custom paints or detailing or things like that, but they do a very good job, and they've done a great job growing that program itself. We have, I believe currently right now, 14 kids who are 5-6 level students who are embedded in there for 3 years, and they're walking out with many certifications and ready for the next world. The biggest thing for me, and probably the biggest journey of what I am excited about, just because you're in autos for 4 years at North Canyon doesn't mean that you're going to be a mechanic growing up. It means that you walked out with those hands-on experiences and the opportunity to gain collaboration, time management, experiences of hands-on, getting dirty, right? Get underneath the hood. And that's what we try to sell our kids, is gain those 21st century skills, but also gain those portrait of graduate qualities that make PVUSD special.
Great. And so it sounds like you already have a sense, so I'm going to ask you my next question. How are we pointing the kids to the next step in their opportunities? So, for example, you talked about Information Technology Academy. Our biggest deficit in Arizona is cybersecurity, people that want to be on the cybersecurity side, because as my husband will tell you, it is the most boring part of IT. But we need so many cybersecurity professionals. How do we then bridge them to PV Community College, where we know they have a white hat program? How do we get the information in their hands so they know what their next step is? What are you guys doing right now, or what is your plan to make sure they know where they can go next?
Well, the biggest eye-opener for me in my year one of high school principal is how many people want to help and how many people are invested in our high school students. We have great partnerships with a lot of resources. We currently have a monthly meeting with our West Ed partnership. they reach out to so many different organizations, so many different companies, so many different programs where our kids are already going into the next step even before their senior year graduation, right? Many of our seniors are currently doing internships, they're getting jobs, they're getting opportunities, or they're applying for colleges for next level learning.
Great. Thank you for your answers. And I know you are not even through a full year there. Thank you for diving in and clearly going head first into all of this. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
So you mentioned early on, it's my turn.
That's okay.
You mentioned early on that you did some research and you saw what the career needs are in the community and kind of based the pathways on what's out there and where the needs are here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there flexibility built into the system so that when those needs change, we're changing with them to keep up to that?
Absolutely.
Is that something you look at
And that's
too?
why working with industry partners so closely in working with industry is so important, because they're going to tell us, hey, this is the next big thing. You need to get working on this. So that's why they need to be our right hand in this development.
Yeah, I know we're very good at what we do, and I can see us flooding the market in some career, and all of a sudden, well, now these kids wouldn't be able to find a job right away. But if we're switching things that are more current and relevant, but you've got that built into the system, right?
Yes.
All right, thank you for that.
You're
Any other comments? Well, thank you again. We'll be very thorough and listen to all our questions. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Glasses. Next on the agenda is items for discussion 121.-K-12 science adoption, first reading. Dr. Lindsay.
Good evening, President Pantera, Governing Board, Dr. Corson, Cabinet, and guests. On behalf of Jean Copen, who isn't able to be here tonight, we'd like to present a first read for the K-12 science curriculum adoption recommendations. So tonight we have with us Robin Hayward, our secondary STEAM and science curriculum specialist and co-facilitator of this committee. And we also have Krista Perez, who is our elementary STEAM and science curriculum specialist and the other co-facilitator of the committee. They're here tonight to present to you the committee's process and recommendations and then answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Lindsay. Hello, I am Robin Hayward. I'm the secondary STEAM and science curriculum specialist and co-facilitator of this committee. I'm going to be beginning the presentation, but the purpose of this presentation is to share with you, the governing board, a first reading of the process and recommendations of the K-12 Science Adoption Committee. Tonight, we begin by recognizing our committee members and outlining the vital purpose of their work. From there, we will walk you through our timeline and process, highlighting the extensive efforts that led to this evening's recommendation. We will also detail the specific evaluation criteria utilized to ensure we selected the most effective resources tailored for the Paradise Valley community. Throughout this journey, we prioritize gathering various perspectives from teachers, principals, students, parents, and community members. We look forward to sharing the valuable insights gained from those stakeholders. Finally, we will conclude our presentation with our formal recommendation and the anticipated next steps pending board approval. First, we want to take a moment to introduce the dedicated individuals that served on this committee. In this group, we had representatives from various stakeholders, including parents, administrators, teachers, an English language development coach, gifted coach, and a mentor teacher. We had teachers from title and non-title schools, gen ed classrooms, special education classrooms, dual language classrooms, and gifted classrooms. Special thank you to a couple parents on our committee. Mr. Grover is actually an engineer in the field and was instrumental in reviewing curriculum, and so is Ms. Culbertson. While she's not currently in the classroom, she's a certified earth science teacher. They were both instrumental in reviewing high school resources. Now, every member on the committee brought their own individual experiences and insights, providing us with a comprehensive evaluation of the science curricula being considered. This process started on April 15th of last year and ended January 22nd of this year, including homework over the summer, During this time, committee members spent a total of 591 hours between meetings and curriculum evaluations. Yes, we added it up. We truly appreciate this group. They were wonderful to work with, and we thank them for their dedication and work. Thank you to all the members for their willingness to participate in this process. Now, the purpose of this committee was to research K-12 comprehensive science curricula and make a recommendation for adopting the materials that best meet the needs of PV schools, students, and teachers. A comprehensive resource is one that includes evidence-based materials that build learning around the science and engineering practices, cross-cutting concepts, and core ideas of knowing science and using science. This adoption is an opportunity for our district to leverage new resources with the goal of increasing science achievement. There are several critical reasons why PV Schools is moving forward with a new science adoption at this time. One is that our current science contracts were established in 2019 and will expire at the end of this school year. Without a new adoption, our teachers and students will lose access to the digital platforms and materials they use every day. The landscape of science education has improved significantly in those intervening years also. There is now a much stronger pool of resources specifically built for three-dimensional standards-aligned learning, along with high-quality open source options like OpenSciEd and OpenStax that offer more flexibility for our district. We are also seeing a major evolution in instructional technology. Many of the tools we now consider essential became available or significantly enhanced post-2020. Modern curricula now include integrated accessibility features that are vital for our students, including text-to-speech and speech-to-text. For our dual language immersion classrooms, these platforms provide robust translation supports that were not standard during our last adoption. We are also seeing secure AI integration, such as a partnership between OpenStax and Google, which provides a specialized AI tutor grounded strictly in the vetted district-approved resource curriculum. Finally, the committee prioritized the importance of the portrait of a graduate and bridging the gap between the classroom and the workforce. It is essential that the curriculum includes real-world practices that help students link what they are learning now to the challenges they will solve in the future. By embedding these connections early on, we help our students envision how these scientific skills apply to their lives long after they leave our schools. Throughout the process, the committee was dedicated to incorporating a wide range of stakeholder voices and perspectives. We recognized that a broad variety of teacher and community member input would enhance our recommendations. So we followed a structured process outlined in the table on this slide to engage stakeholders while strictly adhering to open meeting laws. In March of 2025, we issued a call to committee to the Paradise Valley Education Association, United Parent Council, and the Paradise Valley Principals groups. The resulting committee represents a true cross-section of our district. The committee met for nearly a year, including work over the summer months. We followed all open meeting guidelines with agendas and notices posted physically and online at least 24 hours before each meeting. Meeting minutes were promptly posted online within 3 days and sent within 48 hours to UPC, PVEA, PVP, and our science instructional division leaders at middle and high schools. Additionally, committee meetings were open to public attendance. Each meeting included dedicated time for community members to express their thoughts to the committee, which allowed us to involve the broader community in the decision-making process. To reach as many people as possible, several events were planned this year. While the finalist K-12 vendors were on display, Krista and I hosted 3 open house nights in the lobby, where we were open for extended hours on board meeting evenings. These nights were advertised in advance to stakeholder groups and the Science Instructional Division leaders. There were also 2 nights available where Krista met with elementary teachers, had them join for a virtual tour of the science finalists, and provide feedback. We even gathered ideas on how students learn best from 250 title and non-title elementary students, ensuring the committee was looking at these resources with our Paradise Valley young scientists in mind. On the next slide, you will see an example of their input. Furthermore, middle and high school teachers met during an early release district PLC afternoon to review finalist materials and provide their professional feedback. To ensure that all school communities had information and access, flyers were shared at all the schools and posted throughout the campuses. These flyers contained digital access codes to each vendor's curriculum, as well as a link and a QR code to provide feedback. Materials were on display in the district office lobby and accessible online for 60 days from September 23rd to December 18th. Through these efforts, the committee received 271 pieces of feedback to consider. The final steps of our work involved constructing this recommendation for the governing board. We are hopeful to present the second read for approval on March 5th, 2026. This date allows for materials to be ordered in time for summer training opportunities, and we will share more about those next steps at the end of the presentation.
Hi, I'm Krista. Thank you for the intro. Good evening, everybody. I'm the Elementary STEAM and Science Curriculum Specialist, and I'm the co-facilitator of this curriculum adoption. As mentioned, the committee prioritized student voices in the process of making their final selection. I had the privilege of interviewing over 250 kindergarten through 6th grade students. One of the kindergartners from Eagle Ridge really represents the heart of, yeah, let's go, the heart of our feedback process. While she is just one of the 250 students we interviewed, her excitement reflects exactly what we are looking for in our new curriculum.
Can you press play on that?
I really love to do science because we make experiments all the time.
I've watched that like 100 times now, and I'm still not, still not over it. She really captured what we heard from many students. Student wants a hands-on learning experience. They want to talk about what they are learning in groups. And they want to experience science, not just read about it or watch videos about it. And like this young scientist stated, it's about experiments all the time. The committee began its work by grounding itself in evidence-based instructional frameworks. Members participated in 4 initial meetings to gain deep background knowledge on the Arizona State Science Standards, 3-dimensional science, and the sense-making versus information frame. A critical first step in this process was a district data review, where the committee analyzed the PVUSD state test scores for grades 5, 8, and 11 to ensure our work was targeted toward the specific needs of our students. From this foundation, the committee developed a comprehensive rubric featuring 37 individual criteria based on ed reports and internal committee work. This tool was used to evaluate a wide range of proposals. We sent requests for proposals with the specific needs of our district to vendors, ultimately receiving 15 submissions for elementary, 13 for middle school, and 11 for high school, which is representing 56 individual high school curriculum resources. After the list was narrowed to the vendors in the 60-day community review, the committee refined the evaluation tool to gain as many data points as possible across 5 core categories: engagement, coherence, teacher support, access, and assessment. During this phase, members scrutinized 20-minute vendor presentations and carefully evaluated the evidence components of each curriculum. Simultaneously, our IT department conducted a thorough review of each resource to ensure all digital components met the district standards for safety and security. In the final stage, the committee reviewed summarized data from all member reviews alongside feedback from the community and teacher events. Now it's a little history. In 2014, the framework for K-12 science education was published by National Academies Press and was the basis for next generation science standards. This text represents decades of research into effective science instruction and is the basis for modern national standards. Based on this framework, in 2018, the Arizona State Board of Education approved the current state standards, which emphasize a shift towards student-centered learning. Under these standards, students don't just memorize facts, they engage in science and engineering practices to solve real-world problems. The diagram on the screen illustrates the 3 dimensions of these standards. The blue ring represents the science and engineering practices. This is how students actively engage with content. The green ring represents cross-cutting concepts. It's the lens through which students view the world. And the yellow center represents disciplinary core ideas. It's the essential content knowledge, knowing and using science. EdReports, a nationally recognized nonprofit curriculum evaluation tool, helps evaluate instructional materials based on the following criteria. Does the material cover the standards it says it does? Does the material challenge students, or is it just surface level learning? Is the material actually teachable? Does it support all learners and provide teacher resources? The goal is to ensure districts are buying resources that will actually be used and not heavily supplemented with other resources. These 3 dimensions of science, as well as information from EdReports, form the basis for the committee's evaluation rubric. The committee prioritized standards alignment and student engagement while also heavily weighing teacher support and ease of implementation for novice to veteran teachers. With a strong framework for understanding science education, considerations of PVUSD needs, and connections to national rubrics, the committee developed a robust rubric with the following criteria. Science resources aligned to standards. They meet Arizona State science standards and 3-dimensional science learning. Phenomena and problems drive learning. Lessons are centered on solving real-world questions and investigations. Coherence and scope. Logical, structured sequence of instructions across all grades. Teacher, student, and parent supports. Resources for all teachers, tools for all learners' needs, and supports for families. Assessments. They need to measure knowledge and skills that guide future learning. And usability. Integrates with district technology and user-friendly interfaces. Using this criteria, the committee narrowed the list to the 60-day review finalists. A link has been provided for the governing board if you wish to see the entire rubric. After the initial evaluation narrowed the field to our top contenders, the committee refined the 37-point rubric into 5 core categories. Because the finalists were all high-quality resources, the committee required a more granular level of data to distinguish between them. This refined focus allowed members to gather more specific data points and ensure each resource was held to the highest possible standard. The committee evaluated the finalists based on these 5 essential components. Number 1, student engagement, ensuring students are actively doing science through investigation and sense-making. Coherence, confirming the curriculum flows logically and respects valuable instructional time. Teacher support, verifying that the materials are highly usable and provide robust resources for educators. Access, ensuring the content is reachable and effective for every student in our classrooms. And finally, assessment, providing teachers with clear, actionable data on what students have mastered. Using these criteria, committee members completed detailed, evidence-based evaluations for each resource. These scores were then averaged to provide a clear, objective comparison, ensuring the final recommendation was supported by a strong foundation of data. Sorry. A link has been provided for the governing board if you wish to see the entire rubric. The committee transitioned into specialized subgroups to focus on the unique needs of each grade band. This allowed members to apply their specific expertise to the final review of the elementary, middle, and high school resources. The elementary subgroup, facilitated by me, focused on the specific instructional requirements of the K-6 environment. The following slides will detail the committee's findings and the specific recommendations for Paradise Valley Elementary Schools. Using the comprehensive curriculum review, the K-6 committee subgroup identified 5 standout contenders for the elementary level listed here in alphabetical order. These finalists were selected based on their strong alignment with our standards and their potential to facilitate effective science instruction across the district in our K-6 classrooms. During the 60-day review period, we ensured these resources were accessible through several district-wide channels. Flyers were made available to every campus so families and staff could review materials digitally, and physical examples were hosted in the district office lobby for in-person evaluation. To provide transparency, we gave process updates to the United Parent Council, UPC, assistant principals, APC, and principals, PVP, ensuring these leaders knew how their stakeholders could access and review the materials. To gather specialized feedback, we hosted 2 virtual tours for elementary teachers. We also prioritized student feedback, as you saw. An example, partnering with STEAM teachers at both title and non-title schools to gather insights from over 250 students. These young scientists shared overwhelmingly that they learn best through hands-on and collaborative experiments. While the community review was active, the committee conducted rigorous evaluations to determine if these resources were viable within our specific K-6 parameters. A major focus was determining if a curriculum could be taught with fidelity within the 30 to 40-minute window typically available in an elementary schedule. Following the 60-day period, the committee carefully synthesized all evaluations, teacher reflections from the virtual tours, and the community feedback. By analyzing this combined data, the committee reached a strong evidence-based consensus to ensure our final recommendation met the high standards of Paradise Valley. The recommendation to the governing board is to adopt Imagine Learning TWIG for the Tier 1 kindergarten through 6th grade science curriculum for a period of 7 years.
It's me again. The secondary science curriculum adoption decisions were made within 2 subgroups. So we had a group for grades 7 and 8, and we had a group for 9-12. Both of the subgroups were facilitated by myself with occasional assistance by a valued member of the committee who's here. So the 7-8 subgroup did meet on a couple of different dates based on their availability, and we did post a separate notice when that did happen. As we move into secondary science, we want to first discuss curriculum in 7th and 8th grade. Middle school science has a unique challenge of bridging the content and skills built in elementary to the rigors and expectations of high school science. The committee recognized that in the prior adoption, it did not include comprehensive support for all content bands, and they said the lack of cohesiveness was identified as negatively impacting student achievement on AZ Sci. Now, the committee was also recognized that with the AZ Sci test band, including grades 6, 7, and 8, their task was especially important. Following a similar structure as the elementary group, the committee identified the following 7 standout contenders for middle school that are listed here in alphabetical order, except for the last one. maybe twig. These finalists were selected based on their alignment with the committee's standards and priorities, demonstrating exceptional potential to meet the unique needs of the district and facilitate effective science instruction. During the 60-day review, I presented information to principals, presented United Parent Council, and to the assistant principals and counselors group. Time was taken during committee meetings to discuss vertical alignment as well between the resources that were the same between our K-6 subgroup and our grade 7 and 8 subgroup. In addition to all the communication already mentioned, middle school teachers reviewed curricula at collaboration meetings last fall, as well as provided feedback on an early release day that's already been mentioned for the committee to consider. I'm happy to say the committee reached consensus around the recommendation to the governing board to adopt Imagine Learning TWIG for the Tier 1 grade 7-8 science curriculum for a period of 7 years. And this is the same resource that is being recommended for K-6. Now, as we move into the process and recommendations for high school, we acknowledge that high schools face the additional challenges of building on prior science content and skills, while explicitly preparing students for college and career. This slide shows specific considerations when reaching consensus about curriculum for high school courses. 1, high school science teachers are our content experts in the courses they teach. They are a tremendous resource to the district for that reason. It is therefore important to honor the content knowledge of the teachers in decision making. These teachers consistently show expertise in building engaging science lessons using a variety of resources rather than using a prescribed lesson sequence. 2, our high schools are very diverse with their pathways and curriculum focus. This indicates that there is not always a one-size-fits-all approach to curriculum at the high school level. 3, science achievement on standardized tests still falls short of our students' potential. The curriculum choice should reflect the shifts in standards as well as the potential to impact student achievement. 4, high school courses cover standards that may not articulate to the next grade level. Students have more flexibility in high school regarding which courses they take to meet requirements for graduation and high school admission. And 5, high school teachers are held to meeting the requirements for ACT, AZ-Sci, AP, dual enrollment, and common finals. This variety of accountability measures requires resources that align to each of these measures. In addition to the considerations for the science adoption, we also considered factors that would directly influence decision making. On the last slide, the content expertise of high school science teachers were referenced. The committee acknowledged that autonomy with evidence was needed with high school curriculum resources. The working definition for autonomy with evidence is that the district provide quality resources, allowing high school science teachers to build the most impactful lessons while reviewing achievement and sharing lessons that drive improvement. 2, during this adoption, many of the committee's recommendations represent a shift from traditional publisher curriculum with high price tags and little evidence of student achievement. 3, the committee considered the needs of newer teachers, especially when considering open educational resources, and are committed to collaboratively building guidance documents to support those new teachers, as well as strategies to meet the needs of all students. We acknowledge the need to leverage teachers' content expertise in building these supports. And if you're not familiar, open educational resources are freely accessible, no cost, openly licensed text, media, and digital assets used for teaching, learning, and research. And open educational resources are high-quality materials that are created by industry professionals and well-known college professors and vetted through thorough evaluations of alignment to content and standards. Many universities and our partners in our community college are moving toward these resources to support their courses as well. 4, we wanted to mention that there were some considerations specifically around biology curriculum that the committee discussed. The committee had difficulty reaching consensus in choosing one resource because we had some sites that expressed that student achievement was well supported with one resource, with our current Tier 1 resource, which is a more traditional textbook resource. However, there were other schools that were not experiencing the same student achievement with our current resource and advocated for something different. And 4, we did have, so there was a supplement discussed in the committee called Pivot Interactives that both for, specifically for integrated science and physics teachers, they advocated for this resource to be provided district-wide. And Pivot Interactive is a unique supplement that allows students to actively interact with videos of experiments, so it's very unique. And just know that Pivot was previously governing board approved as a supplement in May of 2024. Okay. That's a big list. Taking into account all the considerations and criteria previously discussed, the committee identified the following high school curricula as finalists to support the various high school courses. You'll notice this slide includes supplements. These supplements were reviewed using a rubric established during earlier supplement adoptions for consideration by the committee. During the 60-day review, curriculum adoption presentations occurred at principals meetings, assistant principals meetings, and United Parent Council meetings, as you have heard. Curriculum displays remained in the district office lobby during the entirety of the 60-day review period. In addition to previously mentioned events, all high school teachers were brought together in one place on a half-day to provide feedback about curriculum and discuss common final data and curriculum considerations. After the 60-day review, the community and teacher feedback was considered alongside the comprehensive curriculum reviews to reach consensus on tonight's recommendations. Okay. The high school subcommittee reached consensus to recommend this list of resources, a list on this slide, to the governing board as the Tier 1 curriculum for a period of 7 years. The subcommittee also reached consensus to recommend the 3 supplements that are listed at the bottom of the slide to the governing board for approval. Pending the approval of this curriculum by the governing board, several important next steps need to be considered. A detailed plan for implementing the new curriculum is being created, including timelines, training sessions for teachers and staff, and communication strategies to inform stakeholders about the plan. We will work to create a plan to efficiently allocate resources, such as textbooks and supplementary materials. We will ensure that classrooms have the necessary resources to facilitate instruction and learning. We will facilitate work teams to create guidance documents that will serve as a guide for implementation. Lastly, we will establish processes for assessing and monitoring the implementation of the new curriculum to ensure that it is meeting the intended goals and objectives. This may involve conducting regular assessments, collecting feedback from teachers and students, and making adjustments as needed. The Science Committee has reached consensus on the recommended curriculum resources that most effectively support student achievement and align with research-based practices. Following a thorough evaluation, the Cabinet has reviewed and supports the committee's recommendation. Several important factors influence the final decision, including extensive stakeholder feedback gathered throughout the process. The committee carefully reviewed the final offers from vendors and noticed that the proposed resources are competitively priced. Cost was carefully considered alongside the quality and viability of the resources to ensure a responsible investment. The total cost of this recommended K-12 science adoption is approximately $4 million for a 7-year contract, which covers all necessary instructional materials and digital licenses. Funding for these materials is made possible through District Additional Assistance Override funding, and we are appreciative of our voters for providing the means to secure these resources for our students. Additionally, you will notice there are several resources in blue font. These are the open educational resources we mentioned previously that are open to all districts at no cost. The recommendation to the governing board is to adopt Imagine Learning TWIG as the Tier 1 curriculum for K-8 science, and the resources for high school listed on the slide for a period of 7 years. Once approved, the supplements listed will be added to the approved list for ongoing teacher and student use. And we thank you for your consideration. Now, we really appreciate your attention. We know that it's late, and we're looking forward to bringing a second reading of this adoption that we just scheduled at the next board meeting on March 5th. At this time, we're happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much for that very thorough explanation of how the committee worked, especially, 500 and some hours? Yeah, that's a lot of hours. So thank you. And so, questions, comments? Mrs. Christensen.
Yes. So please forgive my directness in this. I am a little bit frustrated. I feel like that was a lot of explanation on the process. Our committees are second to none, and we all know, many of us have been on committees or have given input, and we know we trust the committees and things like that, but a lot of the stuff you mentioned was redundant, and I am still no closer to understanding what we actually adopted. I appreciate that you did a lot of hard work, but a lot of stuff wasn't. I think we could have cut out about 20 pages of this, and it was 30 minutes before we even got to any lists of things, and please forgive my directness, and it's no reflection on the committee. I know our committees are amazing. We get so much stakeholder input, but I don't know what we're adopting, and that was like 45 minutes, and so please forgive my directness, but I'll just leave it at that.
I have a question. Oh, wait, Dr. Lim?
So I want to go to a comment that was said somewhere in here about so we have a master schedule, that is correct. And it's a 30 to 40 minute block at the elementary school level, if they're lucky, for science, correct?
That's correct.
In the spring. Okay.
For elementary.
For elementary. So I guess, because I've looked back at our past curriculum, which was the FOSS lessons, those are about a 40 to 60 minute block. And we know historically those weren't being used. Let's be 100% honest. I've heard from lots of teachers that checking them out, getting them, doing all of that has been challenging. How is this new curriculum any different from that same issue of checking them out or going to the room where they're at? And how are we actually going to fit it into that 30, 40 minute window? Because frankly speaking, every protocol I've ever done that says it's 6 hours is 8+ hours. It is not truly the time that it says, because it takes more time when you've never done something before, especially students, to set something up and get it ready and start. So that 30 to 40 minute window seems simply not enough to do science in general. So how, and we did say 30, 40 minutes, but you did not clarify if we believed we could do it in that. I don't believe we can do it in that window. So I would love to see that we can show that we can do science in an experiment-based way that's hands-on in 30 to 40 minutes and actually have those students retain that material and not have all the setup and takedown dropped on the teacher.
So thank you, Dr. Lim, for that question. And through my conversations with Ms. Copen about that very fact, I would like Krista to take a stab at answering that question, because I know that that was a big part of the conversation among the committee.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Lim, for that question, because we know that is a very real consideration in our elementary classrooms. So with the curriculum that we're recommending, Imagine Twig, they say that it will be about 30 to 40 minutes for a lesson. They do offer fast track options for our younger grades where we're splitting between science and social studies. In addition, you mentioned the constraints as far as checking out kits, and that is something that we've taken very strongly into consideration over this process. So for one thing, there will be teacher manuals for every teacher that they will keep in their classroom, which is something that currently does not work with the system we have. So that will be an upgrade. Also, we will be having in grades at least 4 through 6, ideally 3 through 6, the kits available for every teacher who teaches science in their classroom. So they won't have to be switching among teachers at their school. And part of the way we are able to do that is through reorganizing some of the materials that we currently have. So that's helping with the financial responsibility as well. Things, for example, like beakers that don't get old, we can put in the new kit. So these materials are available for our students.
I remember when I investigated the different curriculums options that you had displayed, for this whole process. Well, I checked them out when they were available to look at. And I remember, checking out the FOSS kits and setting up the labs and that. And what I saw on the kits the curriculum I saw that was in display, it was a lot more streamlined than what I experienced when I was teaching science in here. So I was very happy to see that kind of thing.
Sorry, I have follow-up to the
Dr. Lim?
Yeah, so thinking a little bit about the hands-on experience of our teachers. So obviously each classroom learns differently, each group of learners functions a little differently. And while we would hope a 30, 40-minute block would work, it may not work for every classroom. So how much flexibility exists in the master schedule? If a teacher realizes a lesson is just not working in a 30, 40-minute block this year and they really need to combine a block and do more science on one day and less science on another day, how flexible is our master schedule to allow teachers to teach the way their classroom needs, which may not fit into the master schedule?
Thank you for the question. It's an ongoing challenge because with our ELA curriculum, our math curriculum, intervention time, specials time, our instructional day is really short. And so one of the things that we worked on last year is to revisit master schedules and look for consistency across the district. So a third grade student in one school is getting the same amount of instructional minutes in math that another student in another school across the district was getting. And so it is an ongoing challenge with science and social studies. And so that we look for those opportunities for integration with wit and wisdom. I'm not sure if that has been a part of the conversation with the committee, but it is an ongoing challenge just with the sheer lack of minutes within our instructional day to fit all the content in.
Well, I guess my question there is our schools function very different. A Title I school is going to look very different than any of our schools past the 101. The supports and infrastructure they have means they may have deficits, say, in the science and social studies in some of our schools that our other schools don't have. So are we giving our schools and our campuses flexibility, or are they tied to this set schedule of way of learning? Because it feels very silly to adopt a hands-on learning model where our Title I schools may need a 50 to 60-minute block to do their science, and then say, well, sorry, you can't do it that way because it doesn't fit into our master schedule, and you're not allowed to adjust the master schedule. So I have a worry that we're adopting and putting money into kits that we know the FOSS kits aren't getting used. So now we're going to buy more kits that are, again, not going to get used because it's not that the teachers don't want to teach it, it's that they don't have the time to teach it. And we're not giving them the time and we're not allowing them to adjust their schedules. I can remember there would be days when I was in elementary school where you would spend half the morning just doing science. Would you touch science the next day? No. But you spent the day, multiple hours working on that particular subject because that is what you needed to do to learn it. I worry that this master schedule with no flexibility into it, when we adopt this, is just going to be a bunch of kits sitting on the shelves again, just like our FOSS kits. And so that is a lot of money for schools not to have the flexibility to actually figure out how to use them themselves.
Yes, and as I mentioned, it's an ongoing challenge because we also have state statute with K-3 reading and a number of instructional minutes that we have to meet based on those guidelines. So our math curriculum requires 90 minutes. So
are those requirements per day that they must do that?
Yes.
And there's no flexibility in adjusting that to have more on one day than another. So they're required to.
That's the daily requirement.
That's the daily requirement.
Yes, and I would say that there would be flexibility in some cases to, if there was an experiment that went into the next day, but generally speaking, we have to adhere to instructional minutes within content areas so we meet those expectations set forward by the Department of Education.
Okay, I guess my follow-up question to that is just for clarity on our standards for our science curriculum. Are we getting enough time for our science curriculum? Because obviously our scores in our district are not great. They're some of our lowest test scores, and it's because we're not capturing and getting these students doing science earlier. For example, they do STEM education in the spring, and they're tested in the spring on those same things. So they're not actually learning all the science material before they test. So it could imagine as we do a curriculum adoption, switching social studies and science to where science is actually happening in the beginning of the year ahead of testing might be something we could do while adopting a new curriculum. But we actually have to look and see why are our students not robustly testing well in the sciences. It's because they're not doing hands-on work. It's because we're teaching them probably at the wrong time of the year. So how can we make multiple changes at once? Being conscious of what we are required to do, but also saying we need to prioritize science because we know from our surveys that Ms. Berrigan has done, that our district, our families want science, and they want better science and more science, and they want it tied into what we're doing. So seeing it tied into other curriculums, seeing us increase those minutes in other creative ways, like tying it with wit and wisdom, would make me more comfortable with seeing this 30, 40-minute block, because it's not really 30, 40 minutes if we tie them together, but we actually have to do it and help the teachers do that process instead of throwing them to the wolves with a new curriculum that sits on the shelves and collects dust like our FOSS kids.
I appreciate that feedback. Thank you.
I particularly like the fact that there are some virtual labs, right? You mentioned that. So, you know, for the younger kids, they are virtually going through with videos that go with them. It's like that helps some of that setup time and takedown time. I'm glad that's part of the system too. And those open resources you mentioned, those are you know, non-copyrighted things. We just use them, right?
Correct.
I like the idea of that because they're going to be updated as science changes and there's new information. Boom, they go right to those open sources and they change them and make it more current and relevant, keeping us always at the forefront of science. Some of these curriculum books we've had in the past, you have them for 5 years. Well, 3 years in, you find out that some of the stuff's changed that you're trying to teach the students is already outdated. So I really love that open resource aspect of it all. Thank you. Mrs. Wanning?
So yes, of course, I definitely would love to continue the conversation and maybe just even have an opportunity to learn a little bit more about, you know, the time of the day to make sure, obviously, that we're utilizing all the great resources that you have all vetted. I agree with President Pantera about, you know, it's important to have these digital resources, but I actually am more and more concerned that we are moving so far away from like physical hard copy books and paper and pen and writing, you know, and attention span and the difference between sitting down and working on a task and filling out even like a lab on a piece of paper, right, versus digitally. I think we need obviously versatile learners who can kind of navigate both, but I think traditionally we do sort of retain more information when we're actually engaging with hard physical things. So I know there's the hands-on kits. The website also mentions like digital journals, but then also hard copy journals. So I guess just really my question comes down to what sort of hands-on like resources, text, opportunities, right, for students to, you know, measure, write something down versus, and you know, it's not to say to not use an app or to not use, but to be engaging in both so that they're able to kind of flex between and use both mediums.
Thank you for your question. Are you asking what kind of hands-on?
Yes, like like text or journals or papers, documents, like, you know, old school.
Okay, so Imagine Twig has that available for kindergarten through 6th grade with financial responsibility. At least the first year, we're going to get that for 3rd through 6th grade. That is also what is developmentally most appropriate for our students, also considering the amount of time we have available during the elementary school day. So 3rd through 6th grade will have a journal where they will document what they're doing in these investigations. They will write their questions. They will do models and add to them over time. And that will go along with their units. Those are also available digitally. So for the ones that are most important for writing, we can print those in kindergarten through 2nd grade.
And so if both versions are available, which I think is great, but is there any, like, are teachers going to sort of decide on their own which ones they want to utilize? Like, just kind of talk me through what that sort of looks like. So if you're in 3rd grade, if you're a 3rd grade classroom and you've got both available, will they, I mean, is it possible that teachers might only use digital? I guess is my question. Because it's a concern. It's a concern of mine. I'm going to watch my own children, and I see them like struggling, honestly. And I've got a senior at this point and a middle schooler, and it's like they don't interact with physical materials. And I just would like us, as we're adopting new materials, to be thinking about integrating some of the more traditional ways of learning back into, you know, our educational learning environments here at PV.
Mrs. Greenberg? Oh, I thought you had something to say.
So
Oh, I'm
also,
sorry.
it's late, and I know you guys have done so much work, so I'll just circle back to my question, which is, I want teachers to have flexibility, but will they be encouraged to utilize both methods, digital and physical hard copies, in the classroom?
Yeah, thank you for checking. So for 3rd through 6th grade, the books are part of the curriculum adoption, those journals. We'll be providing strong professional development at the start, which will help teachers know exactly how to use them, and they go right along with what the students are doing. So, and in addition, we will be working with teachers and working on creating a guaranteed viable curriculum so that that fits right in there.
Mrs. Greenberg.
Dr. Lim, I think, touched on this in her comments and her questions, but it feels like, particularly in case 6, and it's not just us, but education seems to be siloing subjects more than we used to. And it feels like, we constantly have that pendulum swing in education, like we were over here, now we're starting to move here, now we're starting to go back. And I guess the question, or maybe comment, I don't know, yes, it's late. How much can we integrate again in terms of, you mentioned wit and wisdom, so, okay, we got 40 minutes for science and it's going to flow into English, and so maybe we can integrate the two together and use the science lesson for part of whatever it is we were doing with ELA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And, obviously we're focusing on the science curriculum adoption here, but as we go into professional development and we look at some of these issues, and obviously it's different school to school as well. So how much are we looking at that overall integration? And that may not be a question for you, and that may be more for Dr. Lindsay or Ms. Copen when she's here. That overall bigger picture question of being able to go, oh, we've got to hit these standards, but we can do it by integrating this way and take out 4 instead of 2, or what I mean? Obviously, it's late and I'm a little crazy.
I know exactly what you mean, because we used to teach outdoor education back in the day. Take kids for camp overnight and weekends at Prescott. Yep. And that's all we did was science and outdoor education. We integrated things all the time, but like you said, the pendulum swings back and forth, and you got to get those standards in, right? Yep. I used to love teaching with the FOSS kids. That was always a lot of fun for me. But I agree with you about the integration of things. It's tough. This is Dr. Dr. Lim.
So I actually want to go back to Ms. Wani's question. I actually don't know if she got her question answered, and I am concerned about this too. I worry that we're waffling between, well, they could use digital or they could use written. Why are we not trying to map onto what scientists are doing? I did my lab notebooks by hand. Most of what my colleagues still do is by hand, because for patents, that written material cannot be manipulated in the same way that the digital material can, and it can make or break whether you get a patent, whether you wrote it down or tracked it digitally. And yes, there are platforms for doing digital notebooks, but most of my colleagues still do it by hand because it guarantees you that patent. It controls your science. It is more tangible than the digital form. So why are we not, knowing that the fields are in these spaces, mapping on to thinking about the CTE stuff that we just talked about, finding out what the fields are doing and mapping that on so that our learners are doing this? Because I have a small learner that can get tired very quickly writing anything, and if she was just doing things by hand and that was just the norm, I wouldn't be struggling so much to get her to write a few paragraphs down because her hand hurts so bad. But you put her on the computer and she's like typing away. Not everything that every career is going to be digital, and so I think we need to embrace that our K through 6 kiddos need more hands-on writing, less digital, less computers in front of them. They need to do more by hand, and science is the best place to do it. So I do have a question about this curriculum. How much of this curriculum has gamification or digital tools as a huge component, because that is not how we learn science. We learn science hands-on doing it, not watching videos and playing games. So how much of the curriculum that we're adopting is gamifying science, because that we know statistically and data-wise is not the best way to learn.
Thank you for your question. So Imagine Twig does not have gamification. There's not digital games for the students. There are some videos for students that show, kind of like we talked about right before us, there's a lot of career connections built in early on. So there are those videos. There are some digital investigations for things that you can't physically do unless you're my role model, Miss Frizzle, but you can't do it in the actual classroom. So there are some digital investigations. And then as far as the writing piece, Ms. Copen will address what that will look like further.
Yeah, I think it is more of a district thing that we need to think about more globally, about getting our youngest learners writing things down, and science seems like the best place to do it because it's short, it's sweet, and it's often fun and like writing a recipe. So,
Mrs. Christensen.
Yes, I concur with Dr. Lim. I've been doing a lot of study on this. Education Week just had an article in January that says education technology, including districts' one-on-one and computing initiatives, impede students' abilities to learn. And they go on to say that a portal to platform actually harms children's mental health. And they're starting to do Senate committee hearings on this and going back to basics. Sweden they did a whole digital initiative, and Sweden has gone back to removing technologies from the schools. It shows in our test scores, as Dr. Lim had indicated, science, we're struggling. I went to veterinary school. I had to, do my beaker experiments all by hand. I didn't do any electronic stuff. Doing tests and, the Petri dishes, everything was physical. And I have big concerns that we are, excuse my reference, but we're dumbing down education to push an all online and create these children that are addicted to digital technologies and learning less and less. And I just have big concerns about that.
I just want to say also, you all are wonderful. And so I just also truly, obviously this is a bigger sort of philosophical conversation that we all need to be having. And so I just can't say enough, I think you did amazing and wonderful work. And I just, please don't take this conversation here, we're passionate and we care very much about this, and we just want to, do the best job that we can to serve our community. And it is not a reflection of your committee work or you all. It is a bigger sort of, just fundamental philosophical conversation about education that I think is important to have. And I'm excited to be a part of an organization that we can have these kinds of conversations. So I just felt like I needed to say that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And sometimes it's this kind of thing that helps get our wheels turning so that we can all work together, right, to try to get the best possible outcome for everybody. So I just felt like I needed to say that, and just truly thank you for all of the work that did go into this.
Dr. Lim.
So I will bring it back to the curriculum, and I just want to discuss one of my concerns, and I think it's probably potentially mitigatable, but I know we are talking about a science curriculum adoption where it looks like about half of them are open curriculums. What risk are we taking on that these might become closed curriculums and now we don't have a curriculum? Or are these always been open models and we expect they will stay open when we make this adoption?
Yes, they have been open, and we expect that they will stay open.
Okay. And do we have a contingency plan or have obviously vetted curriculums just in case at some point one of these goes behind a firewall?
Well, there were several open source curriculum that were reviewed during the committee process. So if something happened in the future, then we could reconvene the committee and discuss those other things that we have current comprehensive evaluations on.
Perfect. Great. Thank you.
Again, thank you. From what I saw and all the things I looked at, most of it was not digital or online, and I really Yeah, it's not, most of it's not. That's just an option if you can't do it hands-on, right? Yeah, that's like an option, but so, no, you don't have to answer that. I just thought it's fantastic, and I really appreciate all your, your work on that, and we'll look at it even closer before we meet again to discuss it. Unless somebody else has something else to say, go ahead.
Just
Ms.
based on your
Christensen.
comment, three of us have had children in this district recently, and the books are not being used. They just sit on the wall. No, the kids don't want them. They would rather have digital. It's easier and faster, and they go through it. But are they truly learning? We spend more money. It was a curriculum adoption a few years ago. They made us get the books, and the books sat on the shelves, and they were not used, and it just increased the price of the curriculum because we should be telling the curriculum company, the publishing companies, what we need. I know that Peoria has done that. They've done it in Florida instead of just accepting prices. So having had a kid go through this recently, I've seen it firsthand, and we're not using the other materials. So just lessons learned.
Any more comments? Again, thank you for your work. My granddaughter knows she loves science, and she's going to be looking forward to this new stuff that's coming out. I really appreciate it. We'll see you again in March, right? Okay. Before we adjourn, I get my glasses. I would like to remind everyone that our next regular governing board meeting will be held on Thursday, March 5th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned.